Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is the nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hello there, very good morning to you. The Prime Minister makes an 11th hour bid for a trade deal with the USA.
Sir Keir Starmer is preparing a package of economic concessions in an attempt to spare the UK from President Trump's tariffs.
But the White House is standing firm with its Liberation Day.
It's simple. If you make your product in America, you will pay no tariffs.
But with 25,000 jobs in the motoring industry at risk, can anything be done to save the UK?
Work-shy Britain. Labour's welfare reforms mean that 400,000 more people will be deemed unfit for work by the end of the decade.
A rejected peace plan for Ukraine. Russia says it will not accept Donald Trump's proposals whilst President Zelensky is still in power.
Some breaking news this morning. The American actor Val Kilmer, famous for roles in Top Gun, Batman, and his portrayal of the musician Jim Morrison, has died aged 65.
And as a start, the latest Doctor Who lineup says that the series is doing the right thing by going woke. We're asking, is it time for the Doc to go?
Britain's election travel scheme begins for Europeans today. You'll have to pay £10 to enter the country. Would it put you off? Will it deter tourists?
A new biopic on the Beatles. The cast is confirmed as stars assemble on stage for the first time ahead of director Sam Mendes' 4-film project.
And in sport this morning, Bukayo Saka returned for Arsenal after being out for over 100 days and scored as they beat Fulham last night. Manchester United reject came back to haunt his old team last night, and it's the Merseyside derby this evening. An Everton fan that became a player will tell us exactly what it's like to play in one a bit later.
It's another sunny start for most of us, but how long will the sunshine last? I'll have the full forecast coming up very soon.
Well, here we are on a Wednesday morning. Thank you for your company. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Pretty sad news there about Val Kilmer, only 65 years of age. He had cancer complications, but eventually he succumbed to pneumonia overnight, and his family have released that. Paul has actually met him.
I did about, God, it was quite a few years ago. It was when Batman Forever came out. And very serious. He was always known for being quite a difficult actor. I don't know whether that often means whether they're very serious about their work, because sometimes that blurred line between being difficult and being very serious. I do remember him being extremely serious about Batman, when you're thinking, well, isn't this just a bit of fun? But no, very, very serious about it. But a great actor. I mean, he made his name probably in Top Gun, as Iceman in Top Gun, and then reprised the role later in Top Gun 2 a couple of years ago. But this was after the cancer diagnosis. So he'd actually had...
He's had a really long battle, hasn't he?
He has. I mean, it's 10 years. And there was a documentary that was made about him where they actually used AI technology and remade his voice, so you would hear him talking about his life, although it wasn't actually him, but they used his voice and recreated it for AI. Although,
so otherwise he would have had a very distorted voice, would he?
Yeah. I mean, remember, for those that remember, Jack Hawkins back in the day also had a voice box but continued to act and talk. So that was always, it was just very gruff. But then when he appeared in Top Gun 2, apparently there was no AI used in that. They used technology to try and clean it up a little bit, but that was his voice. And there's sort of very moving moments between him and Tom Cruise in that, which are actually reflected real life as well, what was happening in the film.
Well, really sad news. He's been in so many incredible films, as Paul says, Top Gun, Batman Forever, Top Gun Maverick. Also famously played the musician Jim Morrison.
Jim Morrison in The Doors, the Oliver Stone film.
Yes.
Which I think it took some heat, that film. I really enjoyed it because I was a Doors fan, so I thought he was really good as Jim Morrison in The Doors. But probably, I think it's safe to say the 90s, that was... He's probably
his
finest
era.
era. That was when he was at his peak.
Yeah.
Paul, thanks very much. We'll have more reflection on Val Kilmer and on his death as the programme progresses this morning. Meanwhile, President Trump hailed today as Liberation Day. He preparing now to impose new tariffs on the worldwide trade system.
Well, today's announcements are expected to focus on country-based import taxes, with many now fretting about an intensified global trade disruption.
So whatever they charge us, we charge them, but we're being nicer than they were. We have a lot of countries, friend and foe. I always say friend and foe, but the friend in many cases is worse than the foe. They took advantage of us, and we are going to be very nice by comparison to what they were. The numbers will be lower than what they've been charging us, and in some cases maybe substantially lower, but we sort of have a world obligation perhaps. But we're going to be very nice.
Britain responding to this, well, Keir Starmer is preparing to finalise an 11th hour package of economic concessions, hopefully sparing the UK from any sort of trade war. Now, we're joined in the studio by Chair of Republicans Overseas, Greg Swenson. Greg, I don't really know what to make in this. It all seems a bit drastic. I do understand. I totally understand where he's coming from, which is saying, look, you know, we're a bit too kind, a bit too generous here. We could do better with a lot of trade deals that are going on around the world and they're not coming our way. But goodness me, it's a bit drastic, isn't it?
I don't know about drastic. I mean, it's just reciprocal, right? So it's free and fair trade. If you have tariffs on us, we will have tariffs on you. I don't see what's so crazy about that. It's, you know, the president is dramatic. The president's provocative sometimes. He is disruptive, but it's just fair. That's what's amazing about it. And even many American voters did not know that. We didn't realize how hostile our trading partners are with tariffs, with other barriers to trade, like regulations, like the VAT, which we don't have in America. So it's really difficult to argue against the president or argue for continuing with a trade policy that's wrecking the industrial base in our country at the expense of the workers when other countries have much higher tariffs on us. It really doesn't seem. It's amazing how the world perceives this as aggressive and disruptive when all we're doing is making our tariffs equal.
Not. You're disruptive and you're aggressive.
Yes, of course. Well, we like that in a very positive
not
way.
Like that, of obviously the UK. I think the UK is coming across as quite weak in all of this, where they're sort of saying, "Oh, we'll be nice. We'll do whatever you want, Mr. President." And so far, he's saying, well, you're not getting any special deal.
Yeah, and I hope that changes. And the reason for that is that the UK doesn't have a meaningful trade surplus with the United States, whereas the EU has $180 billion trade surplus.
To their advantage.
To their advantage, right.
Yeah.
Which we pay for by borrowing money. So the U.S. taxpayer is paying for the French 6-week holiday, free health care, and other welfare state benefits. And that's sort of unfair, I would argue, whereas the UK and the US have basically equal trade surplus or deficit, depending on
Greg, joining us also in the studio, Laura McKevitt, who's a political commentator, a former advisor to the Conservative Party, listening intently to what you're saying there. Where do you think Britain is coming out of this, or what could Britain do that we haven't been doing?
What I think is interesting about what the president is trying to do is this conversation about VAT and how he views VAT as a tax. The European Union, which is broadly how we inherited VAT, it was one of the stipulations of being in the EU that we have it. We had these 5 exemptions in which we had paperback novels and children's clothing and I think cold food or something. And leaving the EU, we have not abolished VAT. We have kept it. It is a fairly regressive tax. It hits people the hardest at the bottom end of the food chain. But the president views it as a tax on American goods and American potential, and I think particularly in the food industry, which is where we need to be concerned within the United Kingdom. Our farmers are under tremendous pressure from the government already, and one of the things that's being touted is this idea that tariffs that exist on chicken and American exports, chicken, beef and other meats, this is going to hammer British farmers. So Keir Starmer is once again not acting in the interests of British farmers. You're right, this is a weak stance to take. We have a £71.4 billion trade surplus with the United States, according to the ONS this year. It's not insignificant, but it is something where our way of doing tax this side of the Atlantic, regardless of whether or not we are in the European Union or not, is fundamentally different to the United States way of viewing tax. But all of this really relates to China, and the Americans cannot compete with China because they cannot keep people on slave wages. And until they can, everything that you produce in the United States to mimic what can be produced in China is going to cost an American household more.
Do you think that Keir Starmer is playing this the right way, Lauren, in the sense he's being very careful, he's not criticising the president publicly, he's really letting President Trump lead on this, but would you say that President Trump actually responds best to strength? He likes strong negotiators. Perhaps being weak and being the underdog is not the way to play this.
I think the Prime Minister is trying to fight battles on several fronts with the White House, not least of all in relation to Ukraine. And I think that in doing so, he is attempting to be a statesman, be a diplomat, rather than to be a Brit. And, you know, to sort of start mimicking that great Love Actually scene where a British Prime Minister stands up and says, no, you're bullying us. We're not going to say yes to this. Because Trump is a bully. And that's the way that he behaves in business. That's the way he behaves in the White House. He sees it as a sign of strength. The rest of the world sees it as a departure from the post-war consensus.
You see, Greg, at the minute, I can't see a way this is going to resolve itself. Can you?
I can. Yeah, I do. I think, look, the president likes to be aggressive in negotiating, but he's also decent, and he likes the UK. He really is fond of the United Kingdom. We saw that in his first term. We're seeing it now. Again, there's arguments over what is the deficit, what is the surplus, but it depends who you ask, because you see a lot of different numbers. But,
the ONS.
But yeah, and I think the trade numbers that you see from the US don't indicate that the UK has a meaningful surplus or deficit, depending on your perspective. So that, I think, is an advantage. So, look, the president is going to be, I think, better and more kind to the UK than the EU. You've seen that historically, that he favors the UK, and you saw quite the opposite from Joe Biden. So I think there's still hope for a trade deal. I think it would be good for both countries. And again, the president, I think, has a soft spot for the United Kingdom.
In terms of your impression about tonight's announcement, do you get the sense that it's coming down to the wire? Because even Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary at the White House, was talking about, you know, the president's up for a phone call. He's always up for negotiation.
Yeah, and I think that's very true. And look, the markets don't like uncertainty. And so hopefully today we'll see some clarity on this so that the markets can sort of move on and get a better understanding.
Well, it's going to take them a while to move on. $5 trillion's been wiped off the value of US stocks since mid-February.
Yeah, but that can be back in a month, right? So we had a massive rally in the last few months since the election. So that's been given back, yes, but we don't get too excited about, you know, overnight ups and downs in the market. The long term is what's important, and that's what he looked at in his first term. That's what he's looking at now. You know, 7.7% wage growth just in 2019. In real terms, over his 4-year term, 8% real wage growth. That's 2% a year, as opposed to the Obama-Biden years where it was very anemic, 0.5% a year versus 2% a year under Trump. In the Biden years, we had minus 3% wage growth.
But is that wage growth worth it if the value of household goods that have to be purchased with those wages skyrockets because you have to manufacture in the United States?
It's all in real terms. Okay? So I look at what does the consumer, if a consumer had $1 4 years ago, it's worth 80 cents now. If you put it in the stock market, it's worth 180. So stocks are up, you know, significantly during the Biden years. Asset inflation, you know, a lot of government spending, which is good for asset owners, equities, bonds, property, not good for real wage earners, not good for workers. So that's what we look at. We look at real wages. That's what's important to President Trump, not the ups and downs of the stock market.
Do you see the difference Greg was talking about there, the fondness for the UK, which Greg says exists? It's like this special relationship thing. I think it's a lot of nonsense.
It is. It's a lot of nonsense.
Yeah.
Because then you've got the American relationship with France, which is the oldest relationship because of the value of the help in the Revolutionary War.
It's quite easy for Trump to say, do a deal with Britain, and then turn to the rest of the world and say, see?
Well, I think Trump did do a deal with Britain.
He what?
I think Trump did do a deal with Britain. The Trump administration signed off on the Chagos Island deal yesterday. I think that is the quid pro quo here.
Yeah. Interesting. Guys, really appreciate your take on things. Come back and see us again after 7. Greg, we thank you and say good morning to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Well, at GB News, we love to hear what you think. Our poll of the day today, will President Trump's tariffs mean every month is awful this year? Of course, we've been calling it Awful April. Do we have more to come? Let us know what you think. You can get involved by scanning the QR code on your screen now or head to gbnews.com/poll.
Let's have a look at some of the other stories coming in with the time at 6:15. Number 10 has said the deal to hand the Chagos Islands over to Mauritius is now being finalised. President Trump has signed the deal, allowing the transfer of power off the territory. The new deal will mean Britain will pay to maintain control of a joint American-British base on the largest island.
US Democrat Senator from New Jersey, Cory Booker, has broken the record for the longest ever speech by a lone senator, speaking for 25 hours and 5 minutes. It beat a long-standing record in the US from 1957. Booker began his speech on Monday evening, warning of the grave and urgent danger of President Trump.
These are not normal times in America. You have been with me far past 15 hours. You've been with me for 23 hours and 49 minutes. I want to go a little bit past this, and then I'm gonna deal with some of the biological urgencies I'm feeling.
A decorated World War II codebreaker who spent her youth deciphering enemy messages at Bletchley Park has died at the age of 101. She was Charlotte Betty Webb, who was among the last surviving Bletchley code breakers. Mrs. Webb joined operations at the Buckinghamshire base at the age of 18, later going on to help with Japanese codes at the Pentagon.
Now, this caught my eye this morning about warmer weather. There are wildfires warnings in the UK.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. Yesterday, very nice day. I was out in the park yesterday, wasn't walking around, wheeling about in my wheelchair, and a very heavy wind. Very heavy wind.
Yeah, it's very windy.
Sunshine, very windy.
You're
very
right.
Windy.
It's a dangerous combination, isn't
So you
it?
can have all this blue sky and sunshine, which is lovely, spoilt by this cold wind, wherever it's coming from, north, I presume. With that. Anyway, what do I know? Aidan McGivern knows everything.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's another cloud-free day out there for the vast majority, feeling warm in the sunshine, feeling cool in the brisk breeze, and especially near coasts, the east coast and the south coast, affected by a brisk easterly wind. But out of the wind, plenty of sunny skies and feeling warm in that sunshine after any patchy low cloud has disappeared. We're starting the day with some of that across parts of northern England, eastern Scotland. Temperatures by the afternoon up to 17, 18, even 19 or 20 Celsius in some of the sheltered spots towards the northwest, feeling much cooler along the east and south coast, however. Then, going into the evening, we keep the cloud-free skies predominantly across Scotland. Some patchy low cloud lurking in the North Sea, could come along later for eastern Scotland. But for much of the evening, actually, it's simply clear. It's dry. Light winds for Scotland and Northern Ireland. The wind picks up a bit as you come further south into England and Wales. Hint there of some patchy low cloud just sneaking into the east coast as temperatures fall through the evening. And it's likely we will see a bit more low cloud arriving overnight into eastern districts of the UK. It'll be patchy, it'll be coming and going through the night, I suspect. Another area of cloud will emerge to the south and southwest, and that's going to bring up some showers towards the end of the night, I suspect, across parts of Cornwall and Devon. Largely frost-free overnight, but where the winds drop out, where we get lengthy clear spells, there will be a touch of frost here and there as we begin Thursday. Otherwise, Thursday, for most, it's a sunny start, but two exceptions. Some of these eastern parts of the UK will see patchy low cloud at first. That will tend to disappear into the afternoon, but we've got thicker cloud towards the southwest and showery rain, so a marked contrast, I suspect, for Devon, Cornwall, Dorset, Somerset, South Wales compared with Wednesday. That will make it feel cooler. Elsewhere, feeling warm in the sunshine.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed Heat Pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Do stay with us. Still to come, tributes continuing to flow in for US actor Val Kilmer, who has died at the age of 65. He's famous for playing Batman and roles in Top Gun and other Hollywood blockbusters.
But next, Paul Coyte, looking back at last night's football, which wasn't so good. But anyway,
no.
If we have to talk about it, we will after this.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're, 2 weeks away now from Easter, and as Christians right across the whole world observe Lent, we are bringing you daily reflections.
Yes, from ministers around the United Kingdom. So here's today's message from Mark Wilson. He's a vicar in the Church of England.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, my name's Mark, and I'm a vicar in the northeast of England. Before I got married, the best piece of advice I was given was say sorry quickly. You're going to do things wrong to each other, I was told, so you better learn to repent. That's to turn away and change. Learn to repent fast. When we harm someone or wrong them in some way, our natural tendency is to hide away what we've done, or to pass it off like it's no big deal. But in our hearts, we still know we've done something wrong. That knowledge festers away inside us, eating at us. In the Bible, Psalm 32 powerfully describes what happens when we try and hide our wrongdoing. When I kept silent, my bones wasted away. My strength was sapped, as in the heat of summer. It's miserable and futile to try and keep our wrongs to ourselves. But when we admit our wrong, when we try to make amends, when we seek forgiveness, we find that the weight lifts. Now that's true even if we don't receive forgiveness back. Confessing our wrong is vital to our right relationships with each other. So it shouldn't be a surprise to find it's vital to our right relationship with God. The good news the church teaches is that on the cross, we see Jesus' guarantee that if we ask him for forgiveness, he'll surely give it to us.
Right, Paul is now in the studio to look back. A lot of action last night. There was a lot of football. And I mean, just getting to the Man United game, first of all.
Do you want to get this out of the way first? Do you want to do it first?
What?
Just got to rip it off like a plaster.
Yeah, OK, fine.
Yeah. So we lost 1-0. The goal came in quite early from an ex-player, a player who didn't want to leave United, and he didn't celebrate really afterwards for it. So respect him for that. Very, very good player, Elanga. What else have I got to say with that? You see, to me, the Forest result was more interesting because they won. I think it's more interesting than Arsenal. Arsenal aren't going to win the league.
Right.
But Forest are going to qualify for Europe.
Well, not only will they qualify for Europe, probably, touch wood for Nottingham Forest fans, but also the Champions League. Yeah. So, see, also what's interesting about Nottingham Forest, a couple of things about Nottingham Forest. One of them is that if you look at possession stats drive me crazy. It's like possession. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's about who scores goals. You could have the ball for 99% of the game, and if you don't score, you don't win the game. The thing with Nottingham Forest is they have very little possession, and it happened yesterday. You saw the game, didn't you?
Yeah.
So they don't have the ball very often, but when they do, that's when they try and score, and that's when they'll hit on the break.
They're good on the break.
That's the way they play. That's the way they like to play. And some people may not like it, but it absolutely works. And it's also the reason that Nottingham Forest don't have as many injuries as a lot of clubs. A lot of clubs, Spurs are a case in point, but there's other clubs like Brighton have had a huge amount of injuries, Bournemouth as well, although they've done OK. And Manchester United as well, of course. But the less they have the ball, the less injuries they seem to be getting. So Nottingham Forest are right down the bottom when it comes to injuries.
Why is that, Paul?
What do you mean?
Why do they pick up injuries just because they have possession?
Well, I mean, it's with possession. There's so much where they're actually on attack and when they're actually using the ball and passing. If they're sitting back, there's not actually a lot that's going on, so they're not moving around quite as much.
Well, the bit I detest more than anything is playing out from the back. Watching,
drives me bananas.
And we buy a goalkeeper, simply because they reckon he can play out from the back, which is debatable. But it's just a horrible way of playing football.
So many managers do it. And I'll be honest with you, I find it really difficult to understand why. I think the only thing that I can look at is that, and it's playing out for the back, is basically the goalkeeper will then pass it to a defender. Defender will go back and then it'll go around. It'll go slowly.
Score.
Whereas the old days, you get Pat Jennings would get the ball, lump it up forward. But it seems to take 15 minutes to get to the position where you would have been in the first place if you just kicked it.
Pat has scored a goal. I think Big Pat has scored a goal.
It was against Manchester United at Old Trafford.
Right, yeah.
Charity Shield of 1967 it was.
Wow.
It bounced over Alex Stepney's head. Boom, like that, and it's gone over the top and he scored a goal.
That's a goal for you.
That was. So anyway, Forest, so Anthony Elanga, he is the guy who's, as you mentioned, he played for Manchester United. He was there since he was 12, signed back in 2014, sold him for £13.5 million. After 5 minutes, he scored. I mean, it was a great goal. 93 yards in 9 seconds.
Yeah.
One of these... United are left in 13th and Forest now in 3rd. How do you feel about that? And for both of you, how do you feel about the non-celebrating thing? Because I think if you play for another club and you score a goal, and I feel quite strongly about it, you should be able to celebrate and enjoy what you've done.
No, it depends where if he's 12 and he's on United's books.
Yeah.
He doesn't seek a transfer. It's like Scott McTominay, the same business. United looking to offload the wage bill and that sort of thing, so they get rid of these players. Sometimes they get rid of the wrong players. Elanga definitely is a player. He's really shone since he's got the chance at Forest. Yeah. But I think he was simply making the statement, I scored it, I did it, but I take no particular joy in this. And that's fine. He can score against other people, but he didn't want to do it against United, and that was...
So you don't think he took any joy in it at all? Scoring against...
He smiled a bit by the end of the game.
I think you'd have a thing.
I totally get it. I totally get it.
Yeah. I mean, not like giving the big one, but a little celebration. You should be allowed that.
Well, he did
I understand both sides, but I think you should be allowed to celebrate. Yeah. Wolves beat West Ham 1-0, 12 points away from the relegation zone now. And the other game then, Arsenal beat Fulham 2-1. Bukayo Saka is back. Over 100 days he's been out. He came on as a substitute, scored after 7 minutes. But you know what? They get one in and they lose one because Gabriel was injured last night, which is not going to be good for the Real Madrid game, which is coming up this time next week. But Captain Black spoke. This is Captain Black talking about Bukayo Saka's return.
It's, I think, a beautiful moment to see how much our people loves, respects and admires Bukayo. And it's not a surprise to any of us. And I think the best example is his reaction. Immediately after scoring a goal, what does he do? He goes and says, "Thank you for all the hard work that all the sports science guys, physios, and everybody involved in the recovery has done for him to be able to be in the condition that he is." So I think he lifted the stadium, the energy, and great to have him back.
I'm going to say something controversial now. As a Tottenham Hotspur fan, it's good for football that Bukayo Saka is back. He's a decent kid. He's a very good player. That's about as far as I can go. Whoa, how was that? OK? That was quite good, wasn't it?
That was quite good. You did that well.
Alan Stubbs will join us in an hour. Everton legend, Everton fan. Merseyside derby tonight. So he's going to be with us in an hour.
OK, we look forward to that. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Coity. Now, it's your final week to see how you could win our massive spring giveaway. It's 2 designer watches, a designer handbag and an incredible £17,777 precisely in tax-free cash. Here's how it could all be yours.
There's just 2 days left to become our spring winner, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag and not 1, but 2 sought-after designer watches, so you can style it out this spring. Hurry, lines close on Friday. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
If you're out and about travelling today, you'll want to stay in touch with us, and we want you to stay in touch with us. Stay with us on digital and radio, and here is your travel and traffic update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The latest GB News Travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. In Aberdeenshire, the A98 is closed in both directions off the A950 between Newpit, Sligo and Craigmore after an accident yesterday afternoon. In East Yorkshire, Ferrens Way and Hull is closed northbound for an investigation. Buses replaced trains between Longbridge and both Redditch and Bromsgrove because of a points failure. Trains aren't running between Bishop Stortford and Stansted Airport because of emergency engineering works. In London, the A407 is closed along Wall Lane in Willesden after an accident. And in the Vale of Glamorgan, the A48 is closed each way at Cowbridge after an accident yesterday afternoon.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Now do stay with us. Coming up next, Andy Williams and Claire Muldoon are here going through the papers with us. This is GB News Breakfast with Eamonn and Ellie.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference.
It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is the nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
And a look at your front pages on this Wednesday morning at halfway through the week. There's the Mail. Trump's tariffs threaten crisis for Reeves. OK, we're going to be talking about that very shortly.
The Times reports that 400,000 more people will be signed off unfit to work under Labour's welfare reforms.
Metro leads with the student who may be Britain's most prolific sex offender as 23 more victims come forward.
The Sun reports that the charity chief who accused Prince Harry of harassment has shut down her social media after bullying from trolls.
Daily Star reports moon asteroid fears as space boffins worry an asteroid could actually hit the moon. Don't know what...
It's always the boffins.
And I don't know what difference that makes if it hits the moon. Or does it have an effect on us? Maybe it moves the moon out of orbit and maybe some... Otherwise, I don't really care.
Well.
Joining us to go through and give their comments on what the papers are doing today, Andy Williams and Claire Muldoon. Very nice to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning, you too.
So, Andy, we're going to start with this. This is this D-Day thing about Trump and his tariffs and what he's going to do and his posturing and gesturing and what's going to come of all of this. What's your take?
Well, it's just the last thing the UK economy needs, isn't it? I mean, we're already kind of teetering on the edge of recession. We're not seeing any growth. We had a really difficult spring statement, and I know the government's been working around the clock to try and salvage something out of this, and the business secretary in particular has been back and forth from here to the States to try and get some sort of carve out from these tariffs, but it's really not looking good. It almost certainly is going to wipe out all of the government's fiscal headroom, and it looks like Rachel Reeves is going to be back again in the autumn, having to try and find some money from somewhere to balance the books. It's really, really tricky situation.
Some suggestions in the papers this morning, Andy, that she might need to come back for an emergency budget as soon as next week.
Well, I mean, that's
depending on what's announced.
That's what the Tories are saying, and that's the language they're using. I don't think that's realistic. You know, this is going to take some time. If they announce tariffs today, it's going to take some time for that to bleed through to the economy, but it's not looking good.
Look at the timeline of this, right? They got voted in, the Labour government got voted in last summer. Trump administration took over in January, right? So they knew this was coming. Why did they not? And they knew we were out of Europe, so to speak. Why did they not make moves, diplomatic moves, to smooth over the water, to make sure this wouldn't happen to the UK?
You're talking about Donald Trump, Claire. I mean, he's not somebody who's exactly easy to negotiate with. I mean, Lauren McKevitt... Hang on, no, he's not. Lauren McKevitt said it earlier. He's a bully. He'll do whatever he likes.
Well,
Trump will do whatever Trump...
wants.
He will,
doesn't
exactly.
necessarily equate to being a bully.
So how do you... Well, I think he is a bully, but how do you negotiate with somebody who will just do whatever he fancies. I mean, it's not.
Because
it's
you
not
play to your own country's strengths, OK? We've got a lot of strengths in this country that this government don't seem to be able to identify themselves. But why didn't they say to them, look, we can make sure that you don't buy the German vehicles, you can buy British vehicles, which would have made more sense in the sense of manufacturing vehicles in this country, for that to increase. Why have we still got these tariffs on America for data or whatever? I just don't understand it.
Take a load of their chlorinated chicken and their bad farming practices.
Yeah, well, exactly, and there's a reason why we don't do that for British farming. But
no one would eat the chlorinated chicken.
Well, let's see, but the digital services tax, for example, it looks like that's on the table, and we may well ditch that in order to ameliorate the US. So there is a negotiating position, but it's really difficult, and Trump's trying to make a statement. This is political as well as economic. As it happens, I don't think it's going to be good for the US economy or for American people.
Yeah, well, we can
more money.
We can park that with them over the Atlantic, but I'm more concerned about what's happening here, and I can't stand the rhetoric of the Labour side saying all the time, well, we're dealing with that man in the White House now. You knew that was going to happen, even if you didn't put things in place to mitigate it.
I think what it shows is that the UK economy is incredibly fragile.
It's very volatile.
We need to, and this is going to take a long time. This is not easy. We need to build a much more resilient UK economy by getting UK manufacturing back in place, having a proper industrial strategy. But that's going to take a really long time. That's not.
But Andy, we don't even know
if
any of this will be beneficial for Trump or the consumers in the USA. What he's planning, he just sits there like a mega god. He sits there and he goes basically, right, that's what I'm doing. Show me what you're going to do. What are you going to put on my table here? He's sitting there around the world and he's getting countries to compete against each other and whatever. And I have no idea what he's looking for. But as regards us taking a lot of bad practices from America, I mean, everything that's wrong with food comes from America.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. But do we don't need to, no one will buy it. So therefore, we won't be able to import it.
Do you not think people will buy it? I mean, you think the number of people who go to the US on holiday and they'd eat their beef burgers, they'd eat their chicken burgers,
and I think people would if it was cheap.
If it was cheaper.
If it was cheaper, people would buy it because so many people in this country are struggling. They'd be forced to buy it.
Yeah.
You see, I get fascinated. On my Instagram, these films come up and are sent to you. And I'll not name names, but it could, and you will all know the names here. But they have French fries, right? They examine French fries. And I didn't know this, but this particular brand of French fries for sale from restaurants are full of worms.
What?
Yeah, they have these scientists standing there and they have under the microscope and your French fry and you look at it and these little things wriggling inside this particular type of French fries, and then they go inside the meat that's there, and everything has got horribleness there. And you think, why would I be eating this?
Well, you know, we've got so much money being played into anti-obesity and education in terms of nutrition at school level and at parental level as well for bringing up your children. You would think then that these practices would not be happening because everyone keeps saying, buy good, buy fresh and cook from scratch.
I think the whole food industry is corrupt. I really do. I think it's horrendous.
Well, there's a lot of things corrupt. Big Pharma's corrupt as well.
Yeah, but, you know, salmon fishing, salmon
farming. That is horrific.
And, you know, what we're expected to eat, you think I'm eating salmon and it's lovely, it's good for me. And it's not.
Yeah.
And, you know, fresh salmon is from rivers and things like that. And what's the other thing? Pork. I love pork. I love all sorts of pork, riddled with worms.
Yeah, and that's without the US import. So we've already got that here. Yeah. So what's going to be different?
I think the point is that, you know, Trump will do whatever Trump wants to do. He is a bully. But the other thing is that America have all the cards here. They are richer. They are more powerful. You know, when you hear J.D. Vance and Trump saying, we have all the cards, like, the honest truth is that they're kind of right. And that makes our negotiating... talk about Labour's negotiating position, but that makes our job incredibly difficult.
Well, our job is to go to the weather picture right now. We'll be back talking to you guys right after this. Don't go away.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there. Plenty of sun to be had in the UK over the next few days, but if you're thinking of heading further afield, there are still some thunderstorms across Greece and Turkey, and some very unsettled weather moving through Madeira into the Canary Islands. A showery day to come on Thursday, and then further showers or spells of rain into Spain as well as Portugal. A few showers on Thursday for Italy, but the most showery weather will continue to affect Greece as well as Turkey. That is tending to ease away over the next few days into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Interesting research here, because on the one hand it looks as though awareness of ADHD and the symptoms is rising because of TikTok and influencers promoting the symptoms of TikTok, but there's also research that suggests that usage of TikTok itself can cause ADHD. So how do we kind of untangle this?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? It's a double whammy, really, because I think, as you say, on the one hand, you've got this almost like social contagion of increased awareness of symptoms that either are ADHD or, as you have pinpointed, mimic ADHD. And we know that increased and excessive screen time, not just TikTok actually, but all social media time, mimics ADHD. Anyone that has a child and has witnessed their own child spending, obsessive time scrolling through social media or gaming and seeing what that does to a child, particularly, I think, young children's attention.
Yeah, my best friend, she was telling me, oh, yeah, I've known her since she was 4 years old. And she was chatting to me the other day and she goes, you know what? I've got ADHD. That's, well, if you've got it, I've got it. It's ridiculous. There are so many people saying they've got it. It's getting to epidemic proportions. Isn't it a bit ridiculous, all these people claim they've got it? What is it? What is it?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I completely agree. I think it is absolutely ridiculous. And I agree. I'm being tongue-in-cheek about TikTok. I do. My personal view is that TikTok is uniquely awful. I think it is absolutely mindless. Does anyone ever feel good after scrolling on TikTok? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there will be some people. So, I do accept these platforms are different for different people. I do think, though, we have to really ask, why is there this apparent explosion of ADHD and this rush for everyone to diagnose themselves?
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
So prayer can get you into trouble, Claire. Especially if you do it outside an abortion clinic, and even if it's silent prayer.
Yes, exactly. Now, this was legislation that the Conservatives brought in the perceived buffer zones outside abortion clinics. And then the Labour government took it one step further and said silent prayer even is to be banned. Now, how on earth you can ban silent prayer when it's going on in someone's head and you don't actually hear anything or see anything, I'm not so sure it works. Now, Labour's prayer ban, it might be said that it's actually behind this US trade row as well. There's quite a lot on social media at the moment because JD Vance has actually pinned this case of a woman in Bournemouth and the grandmother in Scotland who have both been arrested because of silent prayer outside abortion clinics. Now, we're living in a country where the stats are there was 591,000 live births last year, and yet, in 2023, and yet 300,000 abortions took place. That's 1 in 4 conceptions ending in death. murder for the child, which is really quite appalling. Appalling both for the woman that's presenting herself to have one of these procedures, but also of the innocent life that's then lost. So JD Vance has now said, well, look, this is harbouring free speech. And this isn't about abortion per se. This is more about the wider range, the wider realm of the ability to voice your opinion, OK? Even silently. Sorry, you were about to say something.
I was about to say, I don't think we can blame the trade row on this. You know, JD Vance may have an issue with this, but these tariffs are global. This is nothing to do with the UK or free speech.
Well, why are they making it so then? Why are they saying it can be?
He's got too much to say for himself. He's in Egypt.
He is not, Eamonn.
Vance?
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you.
He's a mental case.
No, he's not.
Well, what do you think of Vance?
What do I think of JD Vance?
Yeah.
I think it would be much better if he hadn't gone into politics.
Yeah?
I think Hillbilly Elegy is a great book.
It's a great book, great film.
And I think he's an intelligent man, but I wish he was a million miles away from politics because I think he's deeply dangerous. Don't agree with this.
Dangerous?
I do think he's dangerous. I think he's probably more dangerous than Trump because Trump just...
That's a very loaded statement, Andy.
Yes,
but he'll be the next Trump.
So. Yeah, well, he probably will be. I mean,
what, because he's got morals, because he's got scruples, because he understands what's going on?
JD Vance, he doesn't have scruples.
He does.
No,
he's
doesn't.
Got a moral compass.
Well, if he had a moral compass,
moral
I mean,
compass,
for any woman to turn up at an abortion clinic, to go through the procedure she goes through, and then to face people standing outside making their protests, that's a tough thing.
I completely agree with Eamonn. If you,
but they're not protesting. They're actually they've got a lot. No,
well,
outside
they're not praying.
Well, some of them,
whether it's silent or otherwise, there's a reason they're there, and it's to intimidate women, and it's to make them feel guilty and ashamed.
Yes.
For having an
no,
abortion.
that's not the fundamental reason,
yes,
Andy. It's to pray for the innocent child that's going to be killed. That is abortion.
Go and do it
pray
somewhere
for
else.
the innocent child.
Look, there are some turnarounds. Some turnarounds. They are there to save the procedure from actually happening, and there are very, very well-documented cases of young girls, predominantly young girls, turning around and not going through the procedure and actually carrying the child to full term.
So, Claire, do you think that the UK hasn't got a carve-out potentially because of free speech concerns? Do you think that's what it's come down to? The UK hasn't had this carve-out that's the case that we would get because of free speech concerns.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's ridiculous. They want to be the party for all, but what they're actually doing is making it almost like a communist state to say to live in.
Claire, come on.
What do you mean, oh, Claire, come on?
The UK is like a communist state. I mean, it's just not. You show me evidence of that. There's nonsense.
People are being arrested for thinking things and for praying it silently, Andy.
No, they're not. They're being arrested for violating a law that exists, I think, for good reason.
No, they're standing there silent.
Go and pray 160 metres away rather than 150.
Oh, Andy, come on. They've been doing this ad nauseum for years and years and years.
Yeah,
and it's only now that Starmer, the granny embalmer, is trying to kill everything off, as well as they're bringing in assisted suicide bill.
You just said yourself the Tories brought this in.
No, the legislation for the buffer zone, but Starmer's regime brought in the inability to voice anything, to speak. They have to pray silently, and even if you pray silently, you're arrested. We've had 2 cases in this country so far.
Okay. Guys, we've got to go silent right now as we hit the break for the moment. Thank you very much indeed. And we'll be back with Andy and Claire as they continue to bite lumps out of each other at about 7:30 or so.
Now, there's warmer weather coming this week. In fact, the front page of the Telegraph today is saying there's a wildfire warning, amber weather warning, not only in England, but also Northern Ireland and southern Scotland today. So be careful if you're barbecuing. Aidan McGibbon's got all the details.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's another cloud-free day out there for the vast majority, feeling warm in the sunshine, feeling cool in the brisk breeze, and especially near coasts. The east coast and the south coast affected by a brisk easterly wind. But out of the wind, plenty of sunny skies and feeling warm in that sunshine after any patchy low cloud has disappeared. We're starting the day with some of that across parts of northern England, eastern Scotland. Temperatures by the afternoon up to 17, 18, even 19 or 20 Celsius in some of the sheltered spots towards the northwest, feeling much cooler along the east and south coast, however. Then, going into the evening, we keep the cloud-free skies predominantly across Scotland. Some patchy low cloud lurking in the North Sea could come along later for eastern Scotland. But for much of the evening, actually, it's simply clear. It's dry. Light winds for Scotland and Northern Ireland. The wind picks up a bit as you come further south into England and Wales. Hint there of some patchy low cloud just sneaking into the east coast as temperatures fall through the evening. And it's likely we will see a bit more low cloud arriving overnight into eastern districts of the UK. It'll be patchy, it'll be coming and going through the night, I suspect. Another area of cloud will emerge to the south and southwest, and that's going to bring up some showers towards the end of the night, I suspect, across parts of Cornwall and Devon. Largely frost-free overnight, but where the winds drop out, where we get lengthy clear spells, there will be a touch of frost here and there as we begin Thursday. Otherwise, Thursday, for most, it's a sunny start, but two exceptions. Some of these eastern parts of the UK will see patchy low cloud at first. That will tend to disappear into the afternoon, but we've got thicker cloud towards the southwest and showery rain, so a marked contrast, I suspect, for Devon, Cornwall, Dorset, Somerset, South Wales compared with Wednesday. That will make it feel cooler. Elsewhere, feeling warm in the sunshine.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24, sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The latest GB News Travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. In East Yorkshire, Ferrens Way in Hull is closed for an investigation. Trains have been stopped between Hamilton Square and Birkenhead North because of electrical supply problems. There's also no service between Longbridge and Birmingham New Street, with buses running between Longbridge and both Bromsgrove and Redditch. Trains aren't running between Bishop Stortford and Stansted Airport because of emergency engineering works. In London, the A407 is closed along Walmain in Willesden after an accident last night. And in the Vale of Glamorgan, the A48 is closed each way east of Cowbridge after an accident yesterday afternoon. That's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24, sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's the final week to see how you could spruce up your spring, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag, and not one, but two sought-after designer watches. Make sure you don't miss out, as lines close on the 4th of April. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
this is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Good
Good morning. The Prime Minister makes an 11th hour bid for a trade deal with the United States.
Keir Starmer is preparing a package of economic concessions. This is an attempt to spare Britain from President Trump's tariffs.
But the White House are standing firm with its Liberation Day.
Simple. If you make your product in America, you will pay no tariffs.
But with 25,000 jobs in the motoring industry at risk, can anything be done to help Britain?
Work-shy Britain, Labour's welfare reforms mean that 400,000 more people will be deemed unfit for work by the end of the decade.
A rejected peace plan for Ukraine. Russia says it will not accept Donald Trump's proposals whilst President Zelensky is in power.
Some sad breaking news this morning. The US actor Val Kilmer, famous for roles in Top Gun, Batman, and his portrayal of the musician Jim Morrison, has died at the age of 65.
And as a star in the latest Doctor Who lineup says, that the series is doing the right thing by going woke. What do you think? We're asking, is it time for the doc to go?
The UK's electronic travel scheme begins for Europeans today, who will now have to pay £10 to enter the country. We're asking, will this deter tourists?
And in sport this morning, Bukayo Saka returned for Arsenal after being out for over 100 days and scored as they beat Fulham. Manchester United reject came back to haunt his old team last night, and it's the Merseyside derby tonight. And an Everton fan that became an Everton player would tell us what it's like to play in one.
It's another sunny start for most of us, but how long will the sunshine last? I'll have the full forecast coming up very soon.
The time coming up to 2 minutes past 7 o'clock on this Wednesday morning. Thank you for your company, whoever you're watching or listening to us. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well, it's a big day today. Liberation Day, Donald Trump would call it. You might just call it Wednesday. But we're now joined by Liberal Democrat MP for Bicester and Woodstock, and that's Callum Miller. Callum, good morning to you as you fix your lens there. You're looking lovely. Morning, just to let you know.
Thank you so much.
It's all looking good. What do you think? I mean, it's interesting, Callum, you're a Liberal Democrat, and you know, people, the identity of what we're supposed to do next. Trump's got all his cards on the table. It's his way or no way type thing. Do you think that's the way it can only be? How should we respond to him?
Trump is behaving in trade, as he has on security, like a bully. He's laying out his position and he's expecting everybody to dance to his tune. And I think it's really important that we stand up to him. We need to show that we are able, with our partners in the European Union and the Commonwealth, to show a different way to approach this, and not just to cave in when he makes huge demands of us to do the things that he wants us to do.
What's the answer? What's the answer? How do you take him on?
One thing to remember about Donald Trump is that he is highly unpredictable, and we might see one thing from him this evening and he might change it the next day. We've seen that in his interactions with Canada and Mexico. So I think a critical thing is for us not to jump too quickly to his tune, but instead to show him that we have options. And so I very much hope the government is ready with a package of retaliatory measures. It's important that that threat is on the table, even if it isn't immediately used. But at the same time, we should be doubling down in our conversations with our real allies, those who have stood by us over many years, and looking for ways in which we can open trade with them so that we can show the benefits of a deeper trading relationship with the European Union, for example, while Donald Trump is trying to put up trade barriers.
Is putting on that united front with Europe and Canada the right thing to do? Is that beneficial for us, though, really, when Trump has made it clear he wants to go toughest on Canada. He wants to go toughest on the EU. He thinks that they have been taking the mickey, really, of the United States. Isn't it a Brexit benefit that we can go out there alone and get the best deal for the UK?
The thing to say is that it's very hard to know what's going on in Donald Trump's mind and to know whether or not what he's thinking tomorrow will be the same as what he's thinking next week. I think the second point is that We don't know how he will react to the UK. We don't know whether we'll be included in exactly the same measures as others. But what we do know is that it's going to be an unpredictable outcome. And we know that we can improve prospects for British businesses by cutting the red tape that they face when it comes to trading with the European Union. If we take car manufacturing, for example, many of our car exporters export more cars to the EU than they do to the US, but they're still hampered by the consequences of the Tories' botched Brexit deal, which is making it much harder for them to trade. So that's an easy way in which we could immediately improve the prospects for UK exporters.
Can I ask you about your local election campaign launch this week? We saw Sir Ed Davey swap his wetsuit for a hobby horse. Do you think those are good optics of your leader quite literally horsing around when you've got freezing pensioners, struggling farmers, disabled people who are having their benefits cut? Doesn't that look tone deaf to people in this country?
Party, we've been incredibly clear in our criticisms of the government for some of the policies that are hurting the most vulnerable in our society. Our campaign launch this week reminded people that it is still possible to have a little bit of fun, but it also made a serious point that Liberal Democrats are making real inroads into some of the previous Conservative heartlands, and we are looking forward to a great set of results on the 1st of May.
You've been accused of being the soft Tory party. How do you respond to that claim?
If the Conservatives think that we are taking their voters, Kemi Badenoch recently said that we're the kind of party that has candidates who worry about fixing the church roof. Most of the communities that I represent, the people I speak to, want active local candidates. And if the Conservatives think that we're the kind of people that are replacing them, then that's fine by me.
Callum, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for your time this morning. Callum Miller there from the Liberal Democrats. Thank you very much indeed. Joined now in the studio by the Chair of Republicans Overseas UK, Greg Swenson, and also here we have got Lauren McKevitt here. My writing's so small here I can't see what's on this sheet, Lauren. But basically, you see, they're the Lib Dems, Greg, and they're saying, you know, we could do a deal with Canada and it will counteract losing any business with Trump and whatever. But Lauren, I would say that's nonsense.
Yeah, no, that's cobblers. You can't. The United Kingdom, and particularly the City of London, which, for better or for worse, is the heartland of our economy in so many, many ways. This is a deeply unequal country in terms of the economic weighting of productivity. You know, the City of London so far outweighs the rest of the UK. We cannot afford to just chuck our lot in with other people. New York City and the relationship between New York and London is of paramount importance. The financial relationship between the US and the United Kingdom is of paramount importance. It's incredibly naive to presume that that's not going to be the case going forward. There is a Commonwealth argument about Canada, a CANZAC argument about Canada and Australia and New Zealand, but economically speaking, the United States and the relationship financially between the US and the United Kingdom is really important. Now, where it gets interesting is with the King and the Commonwealth entity that the King is in charge of and how he behaves towards Canada versus how he behaves towards Donald Trump. You've seen the King touring naval vessels with his Canadian insignia on rather than his British insignia. This is something where the royal family are paying attention to this, and Canada is an incredibly important part of the royal family, and the King is the King of Canada, not just the King of the United Kingdom.
Greg, if I understand your professional role as well, trading, finances, very much part of what you do. So therefore, there's no one better to understand a financial relationship and if it is important or not between the United Kingdom and the United States.
Yeah, Lauren's got a great point. The relationship between Wall Street and the city, but also just the economies in general. The U.S. and the UK are number one or number two in terms of foreign direct investment in each other's countries, 1 and 2 in trade. Granted, the European Union collectively is a bigger trading partner, of course. But, you know, this is a moment for the United Kingdom, in my view, to do a trade deal. That's why there have been, you know, people on the ground in Washington for the last month or two. And hopefully that, you know, the outcome is positive. I think leaning too much on Canada is probably a mistake in terms of scale. It's just not. It's
so
not apples to
are we
apples.
going to be redrawing the map? Will it be a different map in terms of trade? Whatever way this ends up, it has to change in some way.
Yeah.
But what have we got from here on in, and does it excite you? Well, we're all panicked and we're frightened by it. Are you saying, look, this is actually a chance for great opportunity here?
I think so. Look, maybe this isn't the right government to embrace Trump-style deregulation and tax reform, but the more they can try to emulate that, the better, right? And that's what we're seeing in the world. The voters are pushing right in Europe as well as here. We have a left-leaning government, unfortunately, but the more that European countries can take a page out of the American playbook and deregulate, liberate the energy sector, that is critical to the EU as well as to the UK. 20 years ago, the UK was energy independent. Now they're paying, British businesses are paying 5 times as much for energy than US businesses are. So the place to start will be liberating the energy sector. I don't know that this government will do it, but the sooner that these parties back away from the net zero insanity and embrace liberation of the energy sector, the better. And its consumers are paying much more for energy too. The UK even paying 40% more than the Germans for energy. So how do you compete in traditional businesses, especially in manufacturing? How do you compete when you're paying 5 times for energy? Why would you open a company here? Why would you move here if you're an entrepreneur or a disruptor of any sort and want to start an AI company or build a data center? Can't do it here.
And on top of that, you've got all of the non-tariff trade barriers that this government is really, really keen on introducing. Increases in national insurance contributions, increases in minimum wage. The cost of doing business in this country is going up, is going to continue to go up under the Labour Party, which likes to whack business and has shown no compulsion to stop itself.
Well, Trump would like businesses to relocate to the USA. He says that's the best way to avoid tariffs. I mean, that's not realistic, is it? I mean, this is Trump's final presidency. It is his second. I mean, it would take 4 years for a business to... Yeah, but
don't forget about what's coming, what's waiting in the wings. And the vice president waiting in the wings to try and run in 4 years' time as the anointed successor with a Republican.
Anointed successor in 4 years' time.
It looks like that's the way that the president is pushing him. I mean, Trump is not unaware that he is term limited, and the way that he deals, for example, with Vice President Vance going off script versus the way that he deals with like Elon Musk going off script. These are two very different characters within the court of Trump. He has found a successor that he likes. That's how he's going to play them. But I think the point that Greg made earlier about the European Union is really interesting. The United States and the UK have the same European problem, which is that there was never a single market in services in the United States, in the EU. So the US and the UK negotiating with the European Union on trade was all goods-based rather than services-based, and it was always problematic to try and deal with a surplus in trade in relation to that.
If you think that's problematic or contrived or complicated, nothing compared to the situation little old Northern Ireland finds itself in, part of Europe, part of the UK, and we're going to bring in Olaf Dougie Beattie on this morning, who's down at the docks in Belfast. I hope is that where you are? Where are you? Are you at the docks? Oh, you are,
well, I am. I'm just actually at the Lagan side, just down in Donegal Quay. But really, this is very, very frightening, Eamonn, for businesses here, especially in the manufacturing sector in Northern Ireland, because as you've rightly pointed out, after the botched Brexit deal, Northern Ireland was left with a border down the Irish Sea for British goods coming in to the province. Although we're part of the UK, we're under UK taxation and a lot of legislation, but 300 parts of our laws, including those tariffs, are under the EU. So if you look at Northern Ireland, 70% of the crushers for quarries are made in Northern Ireland, actually out around County Tyrone. They are steel. There's big tariffs being put on steel, and of course Northern Ireland has to pay 25% on British steel coming in case it contaminates the EU market. We look at things like aircraft seats. A third of the aircraft seats in the world are made here in Northern Ireland. That's aluminium. That's tariffs. Now, if Britain does a tariff-free deal or some sort of lesser deal with the United States, will Northern Ireland be able to be part of that? Nancy Pelosi, who was very instrumental along with Joe Biden in making sure that Irish Sea border was put in place, has insisted that any tariffs put on the Republic of Ireland will also have to be put in Northern Ireland. Otherwise, exactly what the EU did on Britain by making sure that there would be no contamination of British products into the EU. Trump is going to do exactly the same, saying, well, we want a border in the Republic of Ireland, making sure that none of those EU goods infect the US market through the back door of Britain. So this is very, very lethal for Northern Ireland. And of course, the big pharmaceutical companies from America, they're still making pharmaceuticals in America, but they chose to use their headquarters in the Republic of Ireland to avoid tax going back to America. And that's what he's looking at, a $50 billion deficit to the States.
Well, Greg, I told you it was complicated, different in so many ways, another added layer to it all.
Yeah, I think, I defer to Ben Habib on this, who's become, like, in my view, the expert on the Northern Ireland issue. But I think the way that the American taxpayer views this in many ways is that the taxpayer is basically funding the welfare states of Europe, right? We fund trade deficits by borrowing money in the capital markets. It worked out just fine for generations because money was cheap. For the last 20 years, we've had essentially zero interest rates. And so we would, the largest treasury bond market in the world, obviously, so we would just fund our trade deficits with Europe and China, more importantly, by borrowing money. And then, of course, we're providing the defense and security for Europe as well. And so instead of spending money on defense, the European countries spend it on their welfare states. And then on top of that, we're borrowing money to fund our trade deficits. So the American taxpayer is paying for the French, Italian, German 6-week holiday, free health care, bloated welfare state, and I think they've had enough of it.
Well, on that point, Greg, Paul's been in touch saying Greg has made a great point, that we and the EU have put up trade barriers against the US for years. It's been a sham. The day of reckoning is now upon us. Yeah, and I don't think it's hostile. It's just reciprocal, right? So let's make trade free and fair. We need to bring our trade deficits down with Europe and China because we can't afford it anymore. We've got $11 trillion of freshly printed money on top of the $25 trillion in debt we already had. So we have $36 trillion in debt. We're paying somewhere in the mid-threes in terms of interest payments on the debt. So we have 11 trillion more and double the interest rates of 4 years ago. Can't afford it anymore.
Guys, appreciate it. Anything to add, Lauren, just before we say goodbye?
I think a big part of this is Donald Trump wants to bring jobs back to America as well. He made a lot of promises in a lot of old Rust Belt company towns that said, we'd bring back mining if we could. We're going to bring jobs back in some other way.
We could have something to learn from what he's doing.
I think it's conceivable, but we also don't have the kind of economy that can pivot like that in the way that the United States can.
Okay. Guys, really appreciate it. Greg, Lauren, appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. Good to be here. And we've got a poll today as well. Yes, we do. Today we're asking, will President Trump's tariff mean every month is awful this year? They're calling it awful April because of the 7 bills that are going up. Could we expect more to come? Let us know what you think. You can scan the QR code on your screen now, or you can head to gbnews.com/poll. And the next time we do this, we'll have a little indication as to how you're thinking and how you are voting. Other stories on this Wednesday morning. Number 10 has said the deal to hand the Chagos Islands over to Mauritius is now being finalised. A new deal will mean Britain will pay to maintain control of a joint American-British military base on the largest island, Diego Garcia, under a 99-year lease. US Democrat Senator from New Jersey, Cory Booker, has broken the record for the longest ever speech by a lone senator. He spoke for 25 hours and 5 minutes, beating a long-standing record in the US from 1957. Booker began his speech on Monday evening, warning of the grave and urgent danger of President Trump.
These are not normal times in America. You have been with me far past 15 hours. You've been with me for 23 hours and 49 minutes. I want to go a little bit past this, and then I'm gonna deal with some of the biological urgencies I'm feeling. Must have felt longer than 25 hours looking at him.
there. I don't think I'd like to have sat through that somehow or other. There's an amazing lady. She's Charlotte Webb, and she was decorated in World War II, and she spent her youth deciphering enemy messages at Bletchley Park. Unfortunately, she has died at the age of 101. Greg, what was that guy's point in speaking for 25 hours? What was that all about?
It's just theatre. I mean, he is...
Just because he can.
He just wanted to be a record holder.
This is the guy who blurted out, "I am Spartacus," during the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. He's very much into the self-congratulatory mode of many Democrats right now, talking about this grave danger of President Trump, who's cleaning up Washington, who's reducing waste and fraud in the government and hopefully returning money to the taxpayers. And that's scary all of a sudden.
Okay.
So,
Can I just ask you about the Chagos Islands deal? I could hear you tutting there during that headline. Are you surprised that President Trump has signed off on this?
I'm not that surprised. I'm disappointed because I think it's a really, really bad deal for the United Kingdom, mostly. It's a good deal for President Trump. He gets, the Brits are going to pay for the airbase in the Chagos Islands, and it's a grave, grave mistake for British taxpayers, and it's really a shame. But President Trump is transactional. He's looking at this as a trade, right? He gives Keir Starmer the Chagos deal. Again, I regret that happened. It never should have been done in the first place, but he's transactional. He's looking at this as a trade. It's not going to cost the American taxpayer. It's going to cost the British taxpayer.
It's going to cost us £800 million as we lose the digital service tax receipts. That's what the trade is here.
More good news.
Fabulous news.
Yeah. We're just looking at the headlines over the papers today, and boy, they are depressing. Let's hope the weather is not so depressing.
Well, that's going to cheer us up because it's nice and warm. Aidan McGivern's got all the details.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's another cloud-free day out there for the vast majority, feeling warm in the sunshine, feeling cool in the brisk breeze, and especially near coasts, the east coast and the south coast, affected by a brisk easterly wind. But out of the wind, plenty of sunny skies and feeling warm in that sunshine after any patchy low cloud has disappeared. We're starting the day with some of that across parts of northern England, eastern Scotland. Temperatures by the afternoon up to 17, 18, even 19 or 20 Celsius in some of the sheltered spots towards the northwest, feeling much cooler along the east and south coast, however. Then, going into the evening, we keep the cloud-free skies predominantly across Scotland. Some patchy low cloud lurking in the North Sea, could come along later for eastern Scotland. But for much of the evening, actually, it's simply clear. It's dry. Light winds for Scotland and Northern Ireland. The wind picks up a bit as you come further south into England and Wales. Hint there of some patchy low cloud just sneaking into the east coast as temperatures fall through the evening, and it's likely we will see a bit more low cloud arriving overnight into eastern districts of the UK. It will be patchy, it will be coming and going through the night, I suspect. Another area of cloud will emerge to the south and southwest, and that's going to bring up some showers towards the end of the night, I suspect, across parts of Cornwall and Devon. Largely frost-free overnight, but where the winds drop out, where we get lengthy clear spells, there will be a touch of frost here and there as we begin Thursday. Otherwise, Thursday, for most, it's a sunny start, but two exceptions. Some of these eastern parts of the UK will see patchy low cloud at first. That will tend to disappear into the afternoon, but we've got thicker cloud towards the southwest and showery rain, so a marked contrast, I suspect, for Devon, Cornwall, Dorset, Somerset, South Wales compared with Wednesday. That will make it feel cooler. Elsewhere, feeling warm in the sunshine.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now, it's your final week to see how you could win our massive spring giveaway. 2 designer watches, a designer handbag and an incredible £17,777 precisely in tax-free cash.
And it could all be yours.
There's just 2 days left to become our spring winner, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. And if that wasn't enough, We'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag and not one, but two sought-after designer watches, so you can style it out this spring. Hurry, lines close on Friday. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
And we're reporting on the sad news that Hollywood actor Val Kilmer has died at the age of 65.
Yeah, we're going to be reflecting on that, his life and his legacy, next.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop star to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
down to earth,
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
and most importantly, honest,
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get the book thrown at them.
then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back to Breakfast. It's 7:28 and some sad breaking news this morning that the Hollywood star Val Kilmer has died at the age of 65. It was his family that released a statement to the New York Times. He was famous for his roles in Batman Forever, playing Jim Morrison in The Doors and Iceman in Top Gun. Well, joining us now is showbiz journalist Julianne Traynor, and such sad news, Julianne.
Yes, it really is. It's devastating. Obviously, Val, he was a huge name in Hollywood. He was instantly recognisable with that face, and he was in films such as Top Gun, Batman and The Doors. Initially, he found fame as a stage actor, and then after that, obviously, his popularity grew. But yesterday, his daughter revealed, well, actually today she revealed that he died yesterday from pneumonia, and he had been battling actually for a very long time because he had throat cancer over 10 years ago. So he never really fully recovered from that, and it damaged his voice. So he'd been suffering for quite a while. He made a brief return to acting maybe 3 years ago for the Top Gun reboot. And yes, his voice just never, like I say, fully recovered from all that surgery.
A voice box.
Yes, he was, yes.
And a hole in his throat. So, I mean, he was an actor that battled so much with his health.
Yeah, and I imagine as well as an actor, that's a huge thing for you to lose your voice, because ultimately that affects your work. And at 65, he was still a relatively young man. He was very handsome as well. He dated some of the greats like Angelina Jolie. So he will be very much missed, and our thoughts go out as well to his daughter and his son Jack as well, who I'm sure are really grieving at this time.
He's got young children, hasn't he? I think Mercedes is 30, in her early 30s, and he's got a son who's 29.
Yeah.
The 90s were his big years. When he had, I mean, I thought a magnificent film in Tombstone. The Western, I thought, was very, very good. And he also played Simon Templar as the Saint in the 90s. And then that's when he became Batman.
Yes. Well, I mean, tributes have already been flooding in. Josh Gade, the actor, called him an icon, and he's also been hailed as a creative firecracker from others. So he really did touch a lot of people with his work.
And as you say, instantly recognisable. We can see the picture on the screen there of him in Top Gun. Worked alongside some incredible actors as well in his time. Yeah. Especially on the set of Top Gun. We can
yes. And just look at that jawline as well. What a handsome man.
Yeah.
But he will be incredibly missed, and it'll be interesting to see now the other stars who come out to pay their respects and make tributes to him. So, I mean, we can just watch this space. I'm sure funeral arrangements will be revealed later. But like I say, our thoughts are with him right now.
Yeah, thoughts with his family. I haven't watched this documentary, but there was a documentary on Amazon in 2020 where he spoke about his health battles. And he says he actually had a point in his life where he had to choose whether to breathe or to eat. He couldn't do both at the same time. So we can't even imagine really what he's been dealing with for the past 10 years or so. But he's at peace now, and we send our thoughts to his family.
And his work will live on forever.
Exactly.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Julianne Traynor, thank you very much indeed. Appreciate it. We've got sport right after the break, and then we've got what's in the papers, and we've got Claire Muldoon and Andy Williams talking about those stories.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The latest GB News Travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. In East Yorkshire, Ferrens Way in Hull is closed for an investigation. Hammerby Road is also closed. Trains have been stopped between Hamilton Square and Birkenhead North because of electrical supply problems. In London, the A407 is closed each way along Warm Lane in Willesden after an accident last night. Trains have been stopped between Guildford and Aldershot because of an incident. In the Vale of Glamorgan, the A48 is closed each way east of Cowbridge after an accident yesterday afternoon. And train services in Cornwall are suspended between Liscard and Loo because of a faulty train. That's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here We do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's time to go through all the latest sports news. Paul Coit is here with us. Morning.
Good morning. It's a busy week of Premier League football because we haven't had it for 2 weeks. There's games tonight. There's quite a few. There's Bournemouth and Ipswich, and Brighton, Aston Villa. Man City are playing Leicester. Got Erling Haaland, who's going to be out for the next 7 weeks. Newcastle, Brentford, Southampton, Crystal Palace, and the Merseyside derby is tonight, Liverpool versus Everton.
At Anfield.
It's at Anfield. I thought it'd be nice to get someone on who not only knows what it's like to play in one, but also, see, very rarely do you get footballers who actually played for the team they supported as a boy. And I always imagine that it means so much more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Alan Stubbs is one of those men who joins us right now. Morning, Alan.
Hi, Alan.
Good morning, Paul.
Hi, Alan.
Hiya.
Good morning.
Listen, great to see you. I mentioned it because I imagine what Eamonn would feel playing for United, me if I played for Spurs, because you went via, of course, Bolton and Celtic, and then to actually get to Everton, your boyhood club. Does it mean as much to you as a professional as it would do for the rest of us that are fans?
It means more. There's no doubt about that. You know, when you have a dream as a young boy and you manage to get on that ladder and start to be professional footballer, and suddenly realise that you have a chance of playing for the team that you've always wanted to play for. It's to be honest, it's something that it's hard to describe. It's very difficult. It means the world to me. It doesn't get any better, if I'm being honest.
But does it happen by chance? I mean, is it something that you can try and instigate as a player? To say, I know with his agents, I don't know how it was when you were, when you were playing at that time and thinking, this is where I really want to go. Is there any way we can make this happen? Or do they just come in for you?
I think the thing is, Paul, I think what you say is sometimes what you want and what you get are two completely different things.
Oh, I know.
And a lot of professional footballers will want to play for a certain team. But, unless they think you're good enough, then it isn't going to happen. Thankfully for me, my dream as a young boy came true in 2001, and it was the best feeling I've ever had. Better than becoming a professional footballer, to actually walk up that tunnel in a Merseyside derby and be captain. Is something that lives with you for the rest of your life.
Sure. And then, Alan, there's things like you begin to rub shoulders and become friendly with people who you adored as a kid. Yeah. And now you're thinking, this is my mate. I mean, I remember meeting Jimmy Johnson, Celtic legend. I mean, just an amazing footballer, a very funny man. And, at school I had a Jimmy Johnson key ring. And he had this he had a football on his foot, But you know, meeting people like over the years, like I remember being at a golf tournament once to get my picture taken with Brian Robson, and now I can pick up the phone and speak to Brian Robson. It's like it's an amazing thing. And also, I was sure I was Dennis Law's taxi driver. Oh, yeah, it was incredible.
Who was your favourite player then, as an Everton fan growing up? Who was your favourite player, and then what was it like when you met them? Maybe even as a pro, did you still feel like that 10-year-old kid?
Yeah, you know, mine growing up was Graham Sharp and Peter Reid. They were my two heroes. As a 17-year-old, I managed to play against Graham Sharp in a under-21 game at Everton when he was coming back from injury, and it was one of them, like what you've just been speaking about, Eamonn, is like you suddenly you're rubbing shoulders with a hero that you've supported on the terraces, and next minute you're shoulder to shoulder with him on a football pitch. It was surreal, and I've got to be honest, I was starstruck. You know, but we're lucky enough that we're in an industry where we do meet our heroes, you know, whichever profession we're in, and no matter how old you are or how young you are, you do get starstruck.
Yeah, and you go back to being 10 years of age as well. But Alan, tell me this, nobody's going to be rubbing shoulders with Liverpool, I would have thought. However well you may do tonight, the title, it has to be theirs, hasn't it?
It's over. I think it's, you know, it really is. I honestly think Liverpool have been by far the best team this season. It hurts me to say that, I've got to be honest. But they have. You know, there's been no one who's consistently reached the levels that Liverpool have reached all season, and that's why they are in a lead that they have. So, you know, Everton go there tonight, and it's going to be very tough. There's, you know, our record at Anfield is not very good. I think Liverpool, I would have wanted this game before the international break, if I'm being honest, because I do feel Liverpool have had a little bit of a dip in terms of the Carabao Cup, losing that, and obviously going out of the Champions League. But, you know, the players have probably been refreshed by going away on international duty, and they're coming back, and they'll be ready for this game tonight.
But tell us about Everton. You talk about being refreshed. How big a refresher has David Moyes been?
Your old boss?
He's been Eamonn, he has been a breath of fresh air. You know, under Sean Dyche, Everton were in a real predicament. You know, the football that we were watching was awful. We weren't scoring goals, and David's come in, and he's just been someone that the clubs needed to enlighten the mood, bring a bit of a smile back to the fans' faces, and also, more importantly, the players. The players look like they're playing with a bit more freedom. You know, you've got to remember, since David's come back, Everton in the league, we're 9 games unbeaten.
Yeah.
We're scoring goals. We're keeping clean sheets. So the mood is so much better.
Well, it's exciting times, you know, that's going on. You're David Moyes, you've got the new stadium you're going into, new owners, who knows how far it can go. But finally, in a word, Alan, what is it like to play in the Merseyside derby? You played in the Old Firm derby. What is it like to play in, especially captain them as well?
It's as intense. There's, you know, the atmosphere at Anfield, whichever team you are, is an unbelievable atmosphere. It really is. You know, the players have got to overcome that first and foremost. We've seen the best teams in Europe come to Anfield and get turned over. Yeah. So first and foremost, the players have got to be able to overcome that, and then when they're on the pitch, Everton to get a result tonight. Everything has to go Everton's way. They've got to take the chances when they come, because I don't think they're going to be a lot of them. So Everton have got to ride the luck. They've got to defend really well. When they do get a chance, they've got to take it. And if they do that, I'll be walking away from Anfield tonight a happy man. If they don't, then I'm going to be sad.
It's just another night at Anfield.
Well, we got to walk away from you, Alan. Lovely talking to you. Thanks for taking the time out to speak to us today.
Thanks, Eamonn. Thanks, Isabel.
Enjoy your new stadium.
I know. I can't wait. It's magnificent. Can't wait.
Yeah, good man. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good man. 21 games, you know, David Moyes had playing against Liverpool. Still hasn't won one yet.
Really?
Could be lucky 22 today. You never know.
Well, we'll see. Andy Williams, Claire Muldoon, they've got the papers right after this. Don't go away.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there. Plenty of sun to be had in the UK over the next few days, but if you're thinking of heading further afield, there are still some thunderstorms across Greece and Turkey, and some very unsettled weather moving through Madeira into the Canary Islands. A showery day to come on Thursday, and then further showers or spells of rain into Spain as well as Portugal. A few showers on Thursday for Italy, but the most showery weather will continue to affect Greece as well as Turkey. That is tending to ease away over the next few days into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Now, how fierce is the competition to become Lord Sugar's next business partner? Well, our final guest today has been in the throes of that competition.
Goodness me, yes. Liam Snellen is taking part in the current series of The Apprentice, and he worked as an electrician for 10 years, and now he's turning his hand to making comfortable yet fashionable workwear. So there you go.
Well, I just want to ask what it's like to be a contestant on The Apprentice, having been a fan of the show for years prior. Is it a bit weird?
Yeah, do you know what? I wouldn't say it's weird. I feel like you can manifest anything in life, you know, and over 10 years ago I said that I wanted to be on the show with no real business at the time and not knowing how I was going to do it. But as I said, I manifested it, and I'm here and on the show.
You manifested it? How did you manifest it then? Go on.
Well, you just need to vision that something has already happened, you know, you just haven't attained it yet, so you just need to attain the frequency to achieve that thing, and that's obviously what I've done, and it's my time.
Liam, are you still on the show?
I am still on the show.
Make it?
So, well, you have to wait and see. You have to wait and see. Obviously,
could be the winner.
Yeah, could be. So we had a little bit of banter about a hot sauce. I was licking a plate, which was a bit embarrassing. So we was doing an advertisement for our hot sauce brand. We didn't actually have the bottle, so we needed to sort of think on our feet and make an advert without having the product.
How long are you in the boardroom? Obviously, it has to be sliced down to an hour, but you must be in there for a long time, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So obviously, you're in there a lot longer than what it shows. You know, it's such a small part of the show when really you're in there for like up to a couple of hours. So it's a really intense period. Like, they definitely go into all of the task and the good things and the bad things that happened, and then obviously the key highlights get shown to the public.
The People's Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're going through the papers in the company of political commentator Andy Williams and the journalist and broadcaster Claire Muldoon. Morning, you two.
Morning.
Morning. Andy, let's talk about this charity boss who's bullied by Meghan Markle fans online.
So this is the row about Centre Barley, which is the charity that Prince Harry, I think, co-founded with one of the royal family members in Lesotho. It's a charity it's an issue and a charity that is really close to his heart, so and I think genuinely close to his heart. So it's really sad to see that this is all kind of descended into actually quite an unedifying spectacle, really, on all sides. You know, the way in which there's a real blame game going on, I think, isn't there, between Sophie Chandailka, who's the chair of the charity, and the sort of what she's described as the Sussex PR machine, which is, I think, something you don't want to get on the wrong side of.
but it's close to his heart as well because of his mother.
Yeah.
Very much so, and I think this is very, very sad because the Sussex PR team have asked this charity and asked Sophie Chandaliko to come out and, you know, say that they're a good family, you know, that the stuff is going well and Meghan's Netflix thing is good. And she actually said, no, I don't want to be part of your PR machine.
You can respect that, can't you?
Absolutely.
I think you can. I mean, I've actually worked with Sophie Chandaliko quite a long time ago when she was at Morgan Stanley. She was COO. She's a very successful, serious, formidable woman, very, very good at her job. And I think she's looked at this as the chair of the charity and gone, well, it's not really, as you said, it's not really my job to get involved in all of the, you know, the hassle and the chaos around Meghan and Harry.
Do you not think then that it shows them, the couple, Meghan and Harry, to be quite churlish, quite childish? And quite bullying in their demands.
It's really tricky because, on the one hand, I think people are very, very quick to find stories that are negative about them and to blame them and to whatever. But they don't help themselves, do they? You know, there is a pattern of... if you look at their comms team, for example, people keep leaving. People keep leaving their staff. People don't tend to have good things to say about them. And it kind of, at some point, you go, well, that's not really a coincidence. So I think, yeah, it is all, as I said, a bit unedifying.
Your views very welcome. Get in touch with us today with your say, and we'll reflect those as the programme progresses. Tell me, Claire, about Alan Titchmarsh. Congratulations to Alan. He picked up a CBE yesterday.
He did indeed. But also, on top of that, the 75-year-old gardener is now launching himself on the social media platform of TikTok. So the headline here, of course, is Titch Talk.
Very
you
good.
really
Excellent.
couldn't make it up. I
Very
think
good.
it's pretty good. And he himself has said that he can't believe, after a myriad of years, gardening, Gardener's Delight, Gardener's World, and of course the very famous programme with Tommy Walsh and Charlie Dimmock, where he went into people's gardens and did various SOS and cleaned the gardens
Ground
up and
Force.
Ground Force, that's what it was called. And, you know, transformed gardens. And I think we maybe should get that back. Instead of the BBC axing it, they could maybe have brought it. Anyway, back to Titch Talk. He's going to launch the online platform of YouTube, gardening tips, because he actually can see himself, and his PR machine, obviously, are saying people go to YouTube to find out skills, to help them find out ways in which to do things. And he said he's going to put up hour-long tutorials in gardening and then take the best bits to snip them, to condense them, and put them on the online platform of TikTok.
It's a great idea.
I think it's a great
Apparently,
idea.
lots of young people are very green-fingered now, and they like gardening, find it very calming.
They do, but also there's lots of companies that actually have got plants that don't actually need much care, and that's well up the Gen Z route of having something that they don't actually need to take care of, and it will still live.
Well, somebody needs to take care of the bins in Birmingham, Andy. What is going to happen? How are the Daily Mail reporting on this today?
Well, the bin workers' strike in Birmingham's entered its fourth week now. The City Council's declared a major incident. There's 17,000 tonnes of rubbish piled up in the city. I was actually in Birmingham on Saturday, and you can see it, you can smell it. There are rats everywhere. I mean, it's like almost like something that would happen in a second or third world country. It's incredible that in 2025...
What's appalling is, and I just don't think people point this out enough, that council wanted to take, correct me if I'm wrong here, Ellie, was it £8,000
£8,000 a year
off someone's paycheck? You know, and then expect them to work on and be grateful for it.
Yeah, I mean, you can see from the perspective of the workers why they're doing this. And I think I'm right in saying that Birmingham City Council, as basically in special measures, went bankrupt virtually. Went bankrupt, as a result, having to put people's council tax up even further for worse services. It's a real mess for the people of Birmingham.
Look, there's a bigger picture here as well. Yesterday, the legislation changed for small and medium businesses to have loads of recycling, different things in their offices to help combat this very thing happening. Why is it not across the board? Why is it always the SMEs that are being targeted? One, for employers' national insurance contributions, increase of therein, and also bringing in recycling things, and the amount of fines that can be punitively given to small and medium-sized businesses, it's really appalling. And we see rubbish like this. This happened at Glasgow City Council as well. SNP run, under Nicola Sturgeon's watch, round about the time of COP28 in Glasgow, the bins were overflowing. It was ridiculous. There was rats going in rat-infested.
There's so much hypocrisy about this as well, because you go and stay in a hotel. No one asks you to put paper in this bin or cloth in that bin or plastic in that bin or whatever. You can do what you want, but if you were at home, you would be fined for not doing such things. You go to football matches, sporting events, whatever. Yeah. You can eat your burger, you can throw it on the floor, you can do anything. No one bothers with those things. There seems to be exemption for that. But I just think this could be settled. It should be settled. And you have to do the right thing, and the right thing is not to take £8,000 out of the pockets of people who will not be hugely paid in the first place.
Absolutely. No, absolutely right.
Absolutely.
OK. Guys, we'll say goodbye to you and see you again in 35 minutes. So thank you very much indeed for that. We were talking about the weather situation, Ellie.
Yes.
Yesterday.
On the Birmingham
sunny.
spring strikes, concerned about the warm weather actually, and the smell,
It's not
and how
warm.
much worse it's going to get.
Warm.
It is going to get warm.
But it's sunny.
21 degrees on Friday.
Well, OK, that's on Friday, but it's sunny at the minute and it's nice, it looks well, but it's freezing. Aidan McGivern, it's windy out there. Aidan, morning.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's another cloud-free day out there for the vast majority, feeling warm in the sunshine, feeling cool in the brisk breeze, and especially near coasts. The east coast and the south coast affected by a brisk easterly wind. But out of the wind, plenty of sunny skies and feeling warm in that sunshine after any patchy low cloud has disappeared. We're starting the day with some of that across parts of northern England, eastern Scotland. Temperatures by the afternoon up to 17, 18, even 19 or 20 Celsius in some of the sheltered spots towards the northwest, feeling much cooler along the east and south coast, however. Then, going into the evening, we keep the cloud-free skies predominantly across Scotland. Some patchy low cloud lurking in the North Sea, could come along later for eastern Scotland. But for much of the evening, actually, it's simply clear. It's dry. Light winds for Scotland and Northern Ireland. The wind picks up a bit as you come further south into England and Wales. Hint there of some patchy low cloud just sneaking into the east coast as temperatures fall through the evening. And it's likely we will see a bit more low cloud arriving overnight into eastern districts of the UK. It will be patchy, it will be coming and going through the night, I suspect. Another area of cloud will emerge to the south and southwest, and that's going to bring up some showers towards the end of the night, I suspect, across parts of Cornwall and Devon. Largely frost-free overnight, but where the winds drop out, where we get lengthy clear spells, there will be a touch of frost here and there as we begin Thursday. Otherwise, Thursday, for most, it's a sunny start, but two exceptions. Some of these eastern parts of the UK will see patchy low cloud at first. That will tend to disappear into the afternoon, but we've got thicker cloud towards the southwest and showery rain, so a marked contrast, I suspect, for Devon, Cornwall, Dorset, Somerset, South Wales compared with Wednesday. That will make it feel cooler. Elsewhere, feeling warm in the sunshine.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The latest GB News Travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. The M8 in North Lanarkshire is partly blocked eastbound between junctions 6 and 5 from Newhouse to Shotts, causing delays. In North Yorkshire, the A65 is blocked by an accident between Long Preston and Settle. And on the M56 in Cheshire, there's a lane closed eastbound after an accident between junctions 7 and 6 from Bowden to Hale, causing queues. On the M6 in the West Midlands, 2 lanes are closed southbound where someone's broken down between junctions 10 and 9 from the Walsall-Wolverhampton turn towards Birmingham, causing delays. And in the Vale of Glamorgan, the A48 is closed in both directions east of Cowbridge after an accident yesterday evening. That's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's the final week to see how you could spruce up your spring, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag, and not one, but two sought-after designer watches. Make sure you don't miss out, as lines close on the 4th of April. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
It's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Hello there, very good morning to you. The Prime Minister is making an 11th hour bid for a trade deal with America.
Yes, Sir Keir Starmer is preparing a package of economic concessions in an attempt to spare the UK from President Trump's tariffs.
But the White House is standing firm with what's called Liberation Day.
It's simple. If you make your product in America, you will pay no tariffs.
But with 25,000 jobs in the motoring industry at risk, can anything be done to save the UK?
Find out at 9 o'clock tonight when Donald Trump speaks in the Rose Garden at the White House. It's being dubbed Make America Wealthy Again. But is it going to make us poorer?
Northern Ireland's manufacturing industry holds their breath, for they already face checks coming in from the UK. Additional tariffs will mean that they will face checks going back in to the UK.
Work-shy Britain. Labour's welfare reforms mean that 400,000 more people will be deemed unfit for work by the end of the decade.
A rejected peace plan for Ukraine. Russia says it will not accept Donald Trump's proposals whilst President Zelensky is still in power.
Sad news this morning that the actor Val Kilmer, famous for roles in Top Gun, Batman, Tombstone, and his portrayal of the musician Jim Morrison, has died at the age of 65.
The UK's electronic travel scheme begins for Europeans today, who will now have to pay £10 to enter the country. We're asking this morning, will it deter tourists?
A new biopic on the Beatles. The cast is confirmed as stars assemble for the first time ahead of director Sam Mendes' 4-film project.
Sport this morning, Bukayo Saka returned for Arsenal after being out for over 100 days. And he scored, as well as they beat Fulham, but they do have another injury worry ahead of this Real Madrid game. Manchester United reject came back to haunt his old team last night, and the athlete who won't compete for Great Britain as he has to pay to do so.
It's another sunny start for most of us, but how long will the sunshine last? I'll have the full forecast coming up very soon.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this Wednesday morning. However you're watching, wherever you're tuned in, I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well, there's so many things to talk about today, like that money to be paying to come and visit Britain. I don't think it makes a darn bit of difference, really. Seems quite puny to do it. What else was I going to say? Val Kilmer dying. There's a lot of news about it, and we'll cover that throughout the next hour. But right now,
we're going to speak to Shadow Secretary of State for Levelling Up Housing and Communities, Kevin Hollinrake. Good to see you this morning, Mr. Hollinrake. And can we start by talking about Liberation Day, as the US are calling it? President Trump going to lay out his tariffs at 9 p.m. tonight, our time. The government were optimistic for a carve-out, that the UK would be spared from these tariffs. Doesn't look as though that is going to happen. If it does, it will come right down to the wire. How concerned are you about how this is going to impact Britain?
Well, you've got to be concerned, and it's important that Keir Starmer does his best in terms of negotiations. I do have concerns that he's the right person to negotiate. He's never negotiated anything in the real world, and neither has any of his cabinet colleagues, where Donald Trump has a great deal of business experience. So it's one thing going over the Atlantic and taking a golden ticket with you for a state visit. It's another thing to talk the real, do some hard talk around business negotiations. And they had the chance to do that, and that doesn't appear to have been too successful. But at the same time, you've also got the UK economy faltering because of the choices of Rachel Reeves. Goldman Sachs predicts that the trade impact of these tariffs could be as little as 0.1% to our GDP. Whereas Rachel Reeves' actions have already hit GDP by 1%, 10 times that figure by her jobs tax and about the forthcoming red tape around the employment regulations.
But bearing all that in mind, and Trump's tariff situation as well, levelling up is one of your responsibilities, Kevin. You must feel pretty despondent. I know there's not much you can do being in opposition, but you must really be quite despondent about the situation we're in.
Well, I'm never despondent. I'm always optimistic. I have great faith in British business and British enterprise that will do their best in difficult times. Of course, you're worried about jobs, specific sectors that could be hit by this. Automotive, for example, the Scotch whisky trading relationship we have, that's important. And I do think the storm will pass. But it's really important that we focus on our domestic economy while this storm does rage. And I think it clearly is serious, but I think there are ways through it. But of course, we've got to make sure UK business has the best opportunity possible to do well. And hitting it with £25 billion of tax increases will have a consequent increase also in terms of consumer bills. And that will cost consumers about £3,500 extra over this Parliament. It cannot be good, because that all hits business confidence and trade and our domestic economy. So we've got some real obstacles in the way of trade. We've got some real challenges ahead, but I'm confident that British businesses and British consumers will get us through it.
Reports this morning that Sir Keir Starmer is preparing to finalise a package with the US which would spare us from these tariffs. And that package on the table apparently is part of a scrapping digital services tax and also offering to change the tariffs on American exports of chicken, beef and other meats. Now, lots of people are concerned about this chlorinated chicken that we hear so much about. What would the Tory position be on that? Would you scrap the digital services tax, and would you accept chlorinated chicken in this country?
Well, it just shows that Labour talk very tough in opposition, but very weakly when they're in government, because they wanted to increase the digital service tax when they're in opposition. They wanted us to increase it, and now they're facing the harsh realities of life. So, listen, we've heard reports. I don't know if those reports are true or not, but I think things like chlorinated chicken are a food safety issue. So we really have got to, and they're also important in terms of making sure we've got a fair and level playing field for UK producers. It cannot be the case that UK producers are put at a disadvantage due to some panic measures that the government might want to put in place. So I would be very concerned by that in terms of the impact on farmers who are already facing a very hard time as a consequence of the family farm tax.
Are you disappointed that President Donald Trump has signed off on the Chagos Islands deal?
Well, really, this is a deal that Keir Starmer's making, not of Donald Trump. So whether Donald Trump's happy with it or not is irrelevant. It's a very bad deal for the UK.
It couldn't go forward without him approving of it.
Yeah, but that's not the point. He wouldn't be going forward at all if Keir Starmer hadn't agreed to the deal. He's agreed to give away the Chagos Islands and rent it back at the cost of £18 billion over the next 100 years. It's a crazy deal that was completely unnecessary. It's really bad for the UK. It doesn't matter what the US say. Is it good for the UK or not? It's bad for the UK. Therefore, it's a deal that should not be done.
But the politics of that one, Kevin, has got to be a sweetener for Trump, though, isn't it?
Well, Donald Trump doesn't want us to do this deal. He's just not bothered when we do the deal at all. That's what he said. He didn't ask us to do a deal with the Chagos Islands. It's a ludicrous deal, giving away your own territory and renting it back. I cannot think of something more stupid or more incompetent than that.
But the negotiations started under the Tories, didn't it?
No. I mean, this, of course, dialogue happens all the time, but it was never our intention to give away the Chagos Islands and rent it back for £18 billion. It's complete nonsense.
Would you pledge then to cancel this deal if you were to form the next government, like Reform UK have done?
Well, listen, those policies are not my policy, not my policy area. I'm the Shadow Secretary of State for housing, level up communities, all those things. So that would be a policy. I couldn't put words in the Leader of the Opposition's mouth or the Shadow Foreign Secretary's mouth. But I cannot believe either of them would be happy with this deal. I don't know, once you've signed a deal, of course it's more difficult to reverse it. So that would be a policy for the future. But I can just say this, we would not be doing this deal now if we were in government.
OK, Kevin Hollinrake, we're out of time with you this morning, but thank you so much.
Happy Liberation Day,
Thank you very
Kevin.
much. Yeah. Thank you.
Anything but. That is the top story this morning. So Donald Trump calling today Liberation Day as he prepares to impose new tariffs, and this is going to be worldwide for America.
Well, today's announcements are expected to focus on country-based import taxes, with many now fretting about an intensified global trade disruption.
So whatever they charge us, we charge them, but we're being nicer than they were. We have a lot of countries, friend and foe. I always say friend and foe, but the friend in many cases is worse than the foe. They took advantage of us, and we are going to be very nice by comparison to what they were. The numbers will be lower than what they've been charging us, and in some cases maybe substantially lower, but we sort of have a world obligation perhaps. But we're going to be very nice.
So, meanwhile, the Prime Minister preparing for an 11th hour bid to halt any trade war. How's that going? Let's find out from our political correspondent Catherine Forster. And in Northern Ireland, where it's going to be particularly complicated, Dougie Beattie. Catherine, let's hear from you first of all.
Yes, good morning. Well, my understanding is that there is a deal on the table from the United Kingdom. Things that it includes are not a complete abolition of the digital service tax, but certainly a softening for those big tech bros that stood behind Donald Trump when he was inaugurated. But more tariffs on sort of smaller tech companies, and also on agriculture, easing restrictions on US chicken and beef coming in, but not a relaxation on standards of welfare. So my understanding is we still wouldn't have chlorinated chicken and so forth. But it looks at the moment like Donald Trump has pretty much said no thank you. I think really he wants a piece of political theatre. His sort of tagline for tonight, this announcement at 9 o'clock, is "Make America Wealthy Again." He wants US citizens to be consuming goods that are made in America, and this is what he's trying to do, is force companies to make things there. But yeah, this could hit us very badly. We hope that this so-called special relationship might get us a carve-out. It's only a few weeks since I remember Donald Trump standing beside Air Force One saying that we, the United Kingdom, were a special case. They don't really have a trade deficit. We've got a fairly balanced trading arrangement in terms of goods. But I think he wants to announce these tariffs globally, and then the government had been hoping to get a carve-out now, but they will still be working hard to get a deal going forward after this. The question is when that might come and how much damage might be done in the meantime. We've already seen the steel tariffs brought in. British Steel have announced they're probably closing Scunthorpe partly as a result, and those car tariffs coming in today, putting thousands of UK jobs at risk.
Catherine, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. We go to Belfast waterfront. Dougie is there. My goodness me, it should have been so advantageous for Northern Ireland to be part of Britain, part of Ireland, part of Europe. And it's anything but these days, isn't it, Dougie?
Well, it is, Eamonn. I mean, if Northern Ireland was allowed to have stayed part of the UK, we could have actually become the Hong Kong of the USA. We're so close to it. Lisahally Port, of course, in Londonderry was the place that most weapons, etc., arrived in during the Second World War. Most food was flown into. There has been that great relationship with America. In fact, this special relationship with America was born right here with the Ulster Scots going to America, and actually they were the original colonists. So there many American presidents came from here. The Bill of Rights from 1690 actually is the Bill of Rights that America runs on. So there is a great special relationship with Britain, and of course it goes back to that time. But right now the Americans are looking, saying, well, we want our fair share. And if you look at the Republic of Ireland, they are trading with America at about 72 billion out of Ireland to America, but only taking in 22 billion pounds worth of goods from America, and that's a 50 billion deficit. America has looked at it and said, no, your corporation tax, etc., is too low. So what you have is a lot of American companies setting up headquarters in the Republic and hiding away from tax. And Trump has really put that on his radar and said, we want those jobs and that tax back in America. But I've heard all morning about chlorinated chicken. Back in December, Ursula von der Leyen signed the Mercosur agreement because she's seen these tariffs coming. She wanted German and Italian cars to have another market besides for America, and that was Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, etc. And she agreed to take 180,000 tons of tariff-free beef and chicken into Europe. That's $3 or €3 a kilo less. And Northern Ireland will have to take those that free beef and chicken into Northern Ireland, cutting our farmers by 50 million a year on the island of Ireland. And of course, we then have this completely mad deal where there's checks in the Irish Sea between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Manufacturers, in order to protect the American market, will then have to have checks going back out into the UK because we are part of the EU. And manufacturers here have been telling me they're preparing to pull out of Northern Ireland and set their factories somewhere else.
Bad news, very bad news, depressing news on this developing story, and we'll know more tonight. Dougie, thank you very much indeed.
And thank you to Catherine Forster there for us in Westminster. Well, it all leads to our poll of the day today. We're asking, will President Trump's tariffs mean every month is awful this year?
Here's how it's shaping up. 63% of you think it will. 37% think it will not. OK, 63-37 is the vote the way it's standing there, and we'll bring you the live results throughout the day. So please do stay tuned for those.
Yep, and if you want to get involved, you can scan the QR code or you can head to gbnews.com/poll.
Other news with the time just after 8:15. Some breaking news this morning, and that's the death of the actor Val Kilmer. He was 65 years of age. He was famous for roles in Batman Forever, playing Jim Morrison in The Doors, and Iceman in Top Gun. He also, more notable films, he played Simon Templar the Saint in a movie, and he was part of the all-star lineup in the Western Tombstone.
Number 10 has said the deal to hand the Chagos Islands over to Mauritius is now being finalised. The new deal will mean Britain will pay to maintain control of a joint US-UK military base on the largest island, Diego Garcia, under a 99-year lease.
US Democratic Senator from New Jersey, Cory Booker, has broken the record for the longest ever speech speaking for 25 hours and 5 minutes, beating a long-standing record from 1957. He began his speech on Monday evening, warning of the grave and urgent danger of President Trump.
These are not normal times in America. You have been with me far past 15 hours. You've been with me for 23 hours and 49 minutes. I want to go a little bit past this, and then I'm gonna deal with some of the biological urgencies I'm feeling.
The decorated World War II codebreaker Charlotte Betty Webb, who spent her youth deciphering enemy messages at Bletchley Park, has died at the age of 101. She joined operations at the base at the age of 18, later going on to help with Japanese codes at the Pentagon in the United States.
And from the news, we'll go and get the weather picture now. Aidan McGivern with that. Good morning, Aidan.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's another cloud-free day out there for the vast majority, feeling warm in the sunshine, feeling cool in the brisk breeze, and especially near coasts. The east coast and the south coast affected by a brisk easterly wind. But out of the wind, plenty of sunny skies and feeling warm in that sunshine after any patchy low cloud has disappeared. We're starting the day with some of that across parts of northern England, eastern Scotland. Temperatures by the afternoon up to 17, 18, even 19 or 20 Celsius in some of the sheltered spots towards the northwest, feeling much cooler along the east and south coast, however. Then, going into the evening, we keep the cloud-free skies predominantly across Scotland. Some patchy low cloud lurking in the North Sea could come along later for eastern Scotland. But for much of the evening, actually, it's simply clear. It's dry. Light winds for Scotland and Northern Ireland. The wind picks up a bit as you come further south into England and Wales. Hint there of some patchy low cloud just sneaking into the east coast as temperatures fall through the evening. And it's likely we will see a bit more low cloud arriving overnight into eastern districts of the UK. It'll be patchy, it'll be coming and going through the night, I suspect. Another area of cloud will emerge to the south and southwest, and that's going to bring up some showers towards the end of the night, I suspect, across parts of Cornwall and Devon. Largely frost-free overnight, but where the winds drop out, where we get lengthy clear spells, there will be a touch of frost here and there as we begin Thursday. Otherwise, Thursday, for most, it's a sunny start, but two exceptions. Some of these eastern parts of the UK will see patchy low cloud at first. That will tend to disappear into the afternoon, but we've got thicker cloud towards the southwest and showery rain, so a marked contrast, I suspect, for Devon, Cornwall, Dorset, Somerset, South Wales compared with Wednesday. That will make it feel cooler. Elsewhere, feeling warm in the sunshine.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Trick Awards, we've got a nomination there. This is where we need you, of course. We're on the long list, Best News Programme, and all of these awards are voted for you from home.
Yes, it's a public vote, which means the world to us if you do choose to vote for us. If you would like to do so, you can scan the QR code on your screen now or go to poll-trick.org.uk. We have won this now 2 years in a row. We'd really like to go for the hat trick. It'd mean the world to us.
And more than anything, I'd love to see Charlie Peters pick up an award. Charlie has been nominated Best News Presenter in that category, but his work will be finer than anything else you'll get for offer during that awards ceremony, exposing these horrible, horrible rapists around the country who groom and rape children. And the work that he's done on that front, I think he certainly deserves some sort of recognition for that. So same rules apply. Scan the, what's it called?
QR code.
QR code, or you can go on poll-trick.org.uk to register your vote.
It's also the final week to see how you could win our massive spring giveaways for 2 designer watches, a designer handbag and an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash. So make sure you don't miss out. Here are all of the details that you need.
There's just 2 days left to become our spring winner, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag, and not one, but 2 sought-after designer watches, so you can style it out this spring. Hurry, lines close on Friday. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Up next on the programme, is Britain putting off people visiting the country? We're going to be hearing about a new change. If you are abroad and you're coming here, it'll cost you. Next.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is the nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get the book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Well, the end of February marks the beginning of the holy month of Ramadan, and the Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer was quick to wish all Muslims Ramadan Mubarak.
Yes, he was, and the royal family also took to their Twitter feed, and they have millions of followers to mark the occasion, sending their best wishes to Muslims in the UK, Commonwealth and all around the world.
Which is all very nice, and quite right, of course, because there are many, many Muslims who are in the Commonwealth, which the royal family heads. However, what's been said for the Christians?
Zippo.
Because there's been a deafening silence from, well, the royal family, politicians and many others as Christians mark the beginning of Lent, despite the fact the King is, of course, head of the Church of England.
Yes, it's all rather disappointing. Shall we get the reaction of the former chaplain to Queen Elizabeth II, Dr Gavin Ashenden? Thank you very much indeed, Gavin, for coming on. Are Christians being forgotten in this country? I am taken aback by the fact that the royal family would take to their Twitter feed, which is watched by millions of people, to celebrate the holiday of Ramadan, but no mention of Lent, no mention of Shrove Tuesday, no mention of Ash Wednesday, nothing.
Yes, it's all very odd, and it's not easy to understand, because as you quite rightly said, it's the right and courteous thing to do, to wish Muslims well on what is for them a very important feast day. Why would we not want to be courteous and generous and supportive to people quite rightly pursuing their own religious devotions? But it's as well as two-tier policing, we appear to be having two-tier religion in this country, because as you say, there's complete silence for the Christians, who still make up nearly 50% of the country.
GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From today, European Union tourists visiting Britain will need to pay 10 quid. It's a fee to get an electronic travel authorisation permit to be in Britain or visit the UK.
Well, the Home Office says it's creating a more streamlined digital immigration system, but there are fears that the new fee will deter tourists from visiting.
Is it an unnecessary complication? Let's ask Simon Calder, who joins us now from Where are you, London, Simon? You never know where you are around the world.
Newcastle upon Tyne. The sun is shining as it always does here.
Lovely city, lovely city. So tell me this, my friend. Why are these needed? I mean, I do understand with government wanting to keep tabs on the migration system as well. This may be quite a good scheme. Are you in favour or not?
Well, look, it is most certainly the case that all governments are moving towards finding out more about possible visitors before they get here. And so the UK is really doing the same as Europe is doing with its so-called entry-exit system. That is massively delayed. It was due to come in last November, won't be in until at the earliest October this year. But the UK has been actually running the electronic travel authorization system for non-Europeans for many months. And the idea is that, as you say, you go online, you pay £10, although anybody who's going to travel to the UK anytime in the next 2 years should apply within the next week, because would you believe next Wednesday the price goes up to £16. That's on top of the increase in air passenger duty, which happened yesterday. Anyone in business class coming from somewhere abroad in long haul is going to be paying £22 more. So, yeah, on top of everything else, we're basically putting up the barriers and saying you're really going to have to do some work if you want to come and visit the UK. And the government says, absolutely, it's all about security. We've got to do this. The tourism industry, meanwhile, is absolutely mortified. And tell you what, there's one exception. If you are lucky enough to be Irish, then you get an exemption. You have a golden ticket because you can go anywhere in the EU without any problems because you're an EU citizen. But you can also, thanks to the common travel area, travel to the UK and you don't need an ETA.
Well, that's handy. How long does an ETA take to issue, Simon? And what happens if the answer is no?
Really good question. So the first thing is that most people will find, in theory, that they get issued with it in a few minutes. But the government warns it could take 3 days or possibly even longer. A really crucial point, actually, and this is for all the people who will be turning up at airports across Europe from today, not realising they need one. Well, you can apply on the spot. And can you believe you don't actually need to have got a result to be allowed on a plane to the UK? You simply need to be able to show that you've applied for it. Anyway, there's two possibilities for being turned down. The first one is you've made a silly mistake on your form, in which case that will be rejected and you'll be invited to apply again, and I think pay another £10. The other one is if you are actually refused, at that point, no appeal, you need to get a visa if you want to visit the UK, and that involves jumping through all manner of hurdles.
And who checks these forms? You know, where you checked, where you asked for it?
OK, almost all of the time it's going to be at the airport when you are flying into the UK. So you won't be allowed on the plane unless you can prove you've got one, or at least you've applied for one. However, if you're travelling by ferry from Dunkirk or Calais, or indeed on the Eurotunnel to Folkestone, then that's actually done by UK Border Force actually in France. So they will be the people who are checking it. Same goes for Eurostar trains from Amsterdam.
And we're not alone in this, though, Simon. Who else around the world insists on these sort of passports?
Yeah, the Americans were really first with ESTA, the electronic system for travel authorization, which came in after 9/11. It's been copied in Canada, the ETA there. Australia has got an e-visitor scheme. The great thing about theirs is that it's completely free, and they genuinely will usually give you a result within seconds. And as mentioned, the Europeans have got something called an ETIAS, but that you're not going to actually need one of those, I can reveal, for at least another 2 years. So people who are confused thinking, oh, do we need to pass to go to Europe now? You definitely don't.
OK. Simon, really appreciate your take on things. Thanks for explaining all of that. Appreciate it.
He's the hardest working man in the business, isn't he? He's always out and about, making sense of the travel stories.
He's travelling all around the world, isn't he?
Wow, this is passion. He's very good. We love Simon Calder. Now, talking of travel, if you were travelling to work or school this morning, here is your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The latest GB News Travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. On the M8 in West Lothian, there's a lane closed eastbound where a lorry's broken down between junctions 4A and 4 from the Heartlands interchange to Whitburn. There are delays from the Hart Hill services, and the M8 in North Lanarkshire's partly blocked eastbound between junctions 6 and 5 from Newhouse to Shotts. On the M6 in Greater Manchester, 2 lanes are closed southbound along with the entry slip road at junction 25 at Bryn, where a lorry's shed its load. On the M25 in Essex, there are clockwise queues from just after junction 29 for the A127 to the QE2 bridge after an accident. In the Vale of Glamorgan, the A48's closed east of Cowbridge after an accident.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Do stay with us. Still to come, it's the big Merseyside derby tonight. Paul Coit will be here with all of your sport next.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You know, we sit and talk to Paul during the break when he comes in here, and he's raving about birthdays and how many birthdays there are today. So let's fire off the.
Do you want to start with the birthdays? You want to go straight in with the famous sporting birthdays?
Yeah.
Well, if that's what you want. First one, please.
You really want.
Sporting birthdays today. There's some good names, and all of them you will know. Let's start with one of yours, goalkeeper for Manchester United, Andre Onana. Where is he? There he is.
How old is Onana?
That's it. He looks kind of like, I don't know what that look is.
Nuts.
For anybody looking at radio, it's a look as if to say, oops, another one's gone through my legs.
Aye.
Or is that, I'm not really sure what's going on.
I would say
Andre Onana.
I'd say he's 30.
30. Ellie.
32.
29 is the first one.
Close,
Very close. No cigar. Let's go with another one. Our next sporting birthday, Shane Lowry. Now, listen, the rule is when it comes to golfers, you've always got to probably add 10 years or take off 10 years because of the golf wear makes them tend to look a little older.
I feel like the facial hair adds to people's age as well.
You know what? I think of for you, Ellie, maybe take a few years off of what you make.
Yeah, I'm tempted to say Shane's about 40, but I think now we look at it and I think he's probably 33 or so.
Okay, well, it's a big swing there, isn't it? So,
but did you not tell me to swing?
Yeah, I know, but I'm not talking as a golf swing. I know, but that's like a lot.
I'm going to say 28.
20.
I think he's in his 30s.
Yeah, he is in his 30s. Yes. Go again. So what do you think?
Right, so I think 35.
35?
33.
38 is the answer. 38 is the answer.
So it was right in the first place.
Yeah,
we didn't need all the preamble.
So forget the preamble and the clues. That's all my fault. Right, one of my favourite players, and probably one of yours as well. Teddy, my friend Teddy Sheringham. There he is.
That's an interesting one. Teddy's got to be...
He looks great.
Yeah, he looks, and he was ancient when he was playing, and it was good. I'd say Teddy.
I've got a good feeling on this one for you.
50.
You think Teddy is 50?
Yeah.
Right.
What?
Teddy looks.
Well, I don't know where to go now. I was going to follow your lead.
He looks
80.
You think what?
80.
80? No, Teddy Sheringham. Now come on, play the.
Okay.
Teddy Sheringham.
70.
Look, he looks pretty much the same as 59. Yeah, Teddy's 59 now.
He looks well.
He looks great.
Looks great.
59. He played in the Legends game at Spurs the other day.
Did he?
Terrific. Yeah, he was just the same. He's going, I'm going to be achy. I said, he was great. Right, one more for you then. So, Linford Christie. There we are. One of our greatest sprinters still. Right. 100-metre record holder.
I'd say Linford is
gold medalist.
55.
55 for Linford Christie. What do you think?
51.
65.
65.
Linford Christie is 65 today.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that?
I do a lot of work with Daley Thompson.
Yeah.
These days, and he keeps himself in really good nick as well. It's he often says to me, do you want to go to the gym or do you want to do? And I say, I often don't really, Daley.
Go with Daley, yeah.
But he's a legend, a living legend.
Oh, yeah. One of the greatest decathlete.
Yeah.
Decathlete that we've ever had, without any doubt. We've got time for a little bit of sport?
I think not.
Okay.
I think not. That is a no, isn't it?
We can mention Fran Jones. Do you want to mention that?
I want to mention Fran Jones very briefly. Fran Jones, 24-year-old tennis player. She was playing in the Colosinitas Cup in Bogota, round of 32, and collapsed during the game. So we wish her well. I mean, she was playing Argentinian's Julia Riera. Staggered to the ground. This is right at the end of the game. Collapsed holding her head. Wheelchair came on. She was taken off. So we hope everything's fine with her. But anyway, that's the news that it's just come out of Colombia.
Okay.
Just a couple of hours ago. So
as you say, we hope it turns out well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much indeed. You're looking for some winter sunshine. Here's the places where it'll be in Europe.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there. Plenty of sun to be had in the UK over the next few days, but if you're thinking of heading further afield, there are still some thunderstorms across Greece and Turkey, and some very unsettled weather moving through Madeira into the Canary Islands. A showery day to come on Thursday, and then further showers or spells of rain into Spain as well as Portugal. A few showers on Thursday for Italy, but the most showery weather will continue to affect Greece as well as Turkey. That is tending to ease away over the next few days into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
SpaceX laser Starship exploded over the Caribbean Sea.
I was wondering where it'd gone.
Yeah, debris could be seen falling back to Earth moments after the Starship launched down from Boca Chica, Texas. The rocket, of course, was unmanned. This was the 8th test flight, and it was only meant to be in the air for an hour. But, importantly, the booster for this rocket was caught with those Mechazilla chopsticks in an impressive display, the 3rd time that's happened.
Those Mechazilla chopsticks. This is Elon Musk's spaceship, isn't it? Starship, sorry.
Yeah.
Planetary scientist Andy Lound could tell us more about this. Andy, so was this a disaster, or is this just a little obstacle to success?
Yeah, good morning. Par for the course, really. This is what kind of, good afternoon, par for the course as these things go on. The whole point of the tests, he's going to do 25 tests this year alone. And the interesting thing about this is you actually see the staging of it, where you've got the first stage, the booster, and then the second section, which is the ginormous rocket, which actually lifts off. The first stage, they seem to have got that cinched now, how it works quite well, coming back and landing in the chopsticks, absolutely breathtaking. The second stage, the Starship, was actually the new version of it, which they're testing out completely. And unfortunately, the first testing, the last test failed, and that was due to, it looks like, some frequency issues, which caused a frequency to go too high, which caused damage to the piping, which led to a fuel leak and a fire, which led to destruction. They made a lot of modifications, which led to test 8. And unfortunately, though, it has failed again. So they need to have a look at exactly what the issues are which are causing these failures.
GB News, the People's Channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. We're going through the papers in the company of political commentator Andy Williams and the journalist and broadcaster Claire Muldoon. Morning, you two. Andy, let's start with Trump's tariffs. They threaten a crisis for Rachel Reeves and that headroom we've heard so much about.
Yeah, so the government's offered to make a really significant concession in order to try and ameliorate the impact of tariffs. So they've said they are willing to cut back on the digital service tax, which is essentially a tax on the big tech companies, raises $800 million a year. So Starmer obviously doesn't want to scrap it entirely. We can't really afford to be cutting £800 million worth of spending while we're cutting disability benefits at the same time. It's hardly going to go down well with Labour backbenchers. But I think what this shows is, A, this is a really difficult, complex negotiation, and secondly, that the UK government has offered to make concessions, and so far it hasn't worked. But I think it sounds like there's a landing zone for the government to achieve some kind of carve-out on this, but, you know,
the thing I don't get
good
about this, Andy, is the fact that the Labour government have had time to put something in place, because Trump has always said he would impose tariffs. That was a known.
He imposed them in his first term.
Yeah, so why haven't... This is what I don't get my head around. Why are they almost putting out fire instead of stopping the fire from happening?
Well, I think there's two things to say about that. The first is that it's, you know, Trump is not an easy person to negotiate with. And on the one hand, we know how he operates, but he's also extremely unpredictable. And so you can say that they could have seen it coming, and maybe they could have done, but it's a really, really tough negotiation. You know, these are global.
Lammy, though, he's the Foreign Secretary. Why are we not hearing from him? Why are we not hearing from leadership? Why is there no leadership?
I think most of these conversations are going on behind the scenes, which is where these negotiations should take place behind the scenes, in private.
Yeah.
And actually, I think you know, the business secretary, Jonathan Reynolds in particular, has been working really, really hard on this. Rachel Reeves involved, David Lammy, and is trying to leverage his relationship with JD Vance, because you wouldn't think they were natural sort of political bedfellows, but strangely they get on very well. So there is work going on behind the scenes, but these are global tariffs, so it's not just the UK government failing. This is a global approach that Trump's taking, and you know, I don't think it's going to work out well for anybody, really. It's not good for the global economy.
Well, David Lammy told the Commons yesterday that the UK must prepare for the worst and engage with businesses to ensure that they have the best support at what he says will be a turbulent economic time.
Yeah, so on the one hand, I think they're actually looking to the States as a get-out card, actually. I think Lammy, Reeves and Starmer are all saying, well, we'll just park it there. We'll just blame what's happening in America, and that'll be the litmus test. And we can use that as an excuse for the blundering blunders that Rachel from Accounts is doing to our economy.
But it is true, isn't it? This is going to have a significantly detrimental impact on the economy. So if they're pointing to tariffs as, you know, something that's going to have a negative impact.
An excuse.
No, I
The
don't.
reality is, Andy, they've taken their eye off the ball. They didn't even know there was a ball in play for a start, in my view, and they've done absolutely nothing to mitigate the endless disasters that they've put us in economically, physically, environmentally, in fact, every way.
Your views very welcome. Get in touch with us and have your say. Just looking ahead, we've got the Secretary of State for Education, Bridget Phillipson, on standby. We'll be talking to her and talking to the guys here sometime soon in the next few minutes. See you right after this.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The latest GB News Travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. On the M8 in West Lothian, there's a lane closed eastbound where a lorry's broken down between junctions 4A and 4 from the Heartless interchange to Whitburn. On the M1 in West Yorkshire, the inside lane's closed southbound after an accident between junctions 42 and 41 from the M62 to Cargate, causing queues. On the M6 in Greater Manchester, 2 lanes are closed southbound along with the entry split road at junction 25 at Bryn because of a shed load. On the A404M in Berkshire, there's a lane closed where someone's broken down off junction 89 of the M4 near Maidenhead, causing queues. And in the Vale of Glamorgan, the A48 is closed westbound east of Cowbridge after an accident yesterday evening.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's the final week to see how you could spruce up your spring, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag, and not one, but 2 sought-after designer watches. Make sure you don't miss out, as lines close on the 4th of April. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Lots of you getting in touch this morning on Trump, the US, and on tariffs as well. We had Greg Swenson on earlier, who is from Republicans overseas. Angela said, Greg has a point. I fully understand why the American people don't want to pay for the European welfare state. We did it for enough years until we had the sense to get out of Europe. Alleluia. Susan says Trump is a danger to the whole world, worrying that people are standing behind him. Also been talking about JD Vance this morning. And Pixie says Vance is too young and too opinionated too soon. Also had some views on the Chagos Islands. June says the British public should have been asked if they agreed to giving away the Chagos Islands, as the British people own it as well. And Peaceful Patriot says Trump doesn't deceive anyone. He's just not afraid to U-turn. In other words, Trump doesn't do things for ideology. He only does things for business and financial results. Well, we are hoping to speak to the Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson, about this in just a few moments' time. Not only US tariffs, but also a big announcement on places at nurseries as well.
We have got the Education Secretary ready. We say hello, good morning and welcome, Bridget Phillipson.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. So you've got a big announcement to make today as regards nursery places at primary schools. Tell us more.
Yeah, today I'm setting out, as part of our plan for change, a big investment in nursery places across our country. So 300 new or expanded school-based nurseries that will create up to 6,000 places for parents, the majority of which will be delivered by September as we roll out childcare expansion. So this will make a really big difference to parents and families across the country so that children can access really high-quality early years education. And I met with one mum on Monday at one of the nurseries that's going to be expanding, and she told me what an impact it had for her little boy Niall to be at the nursery. She said his speech had really come on, he'd come on leaps and bounds, and that's the kind of change that I'm determined to deliver for children across our country.
Why are you determined to deliver that? You know, because when you look at the list of things that you have to do and where you would have to spend money, I mean, just looking at your area, schools that are crumbling, you know, concrete, all that sort of thing, and you've got to find money from somewhere. Why would you think that this is a priority in terms of spending money?
You're right, there are lots of challenges across education, and we are investing more in schools, but early years is my number one priority, and the reason for that is it's where we make the single biggest difference to children's life chances. All of the evidence is clear that if children get to a good level of development by the time at the end of reception year, they're much more likely to go on to do well in their GCSEs. So there's a clear link between the two in terms of outcomes for children, and that's why the investment that you make when your children are young is the best investment you can make.
9 p.m. tonight, we're expecting an announcement from President Trump on these tariffs. We're told about this 11th hour bid by the government to halt a trade war, a special carve-out for the United Kingdom. Where are we at with that deal with the US?
We're working really hard to secure the best possible deal that's in Britain's national interest, and Jonathan Reynolds, our business secretary, has been involved in intensive talks in recent weeks and months with a view to securing that deal. We're in a good position to do so, but we are prepared for any eventuality that arises, and all options do have to remain on the table. The last thing that any of us would want is a trade war with the US, but we do have to reserve our position in this matter.
Why were you not more prepared for this? You've had 9 months to prepare for these tariffs being slapped on by President Trump. He's always been vocal about it. He slapped on tariffs in his first term with the steel tariffs. You knew this was coming down the track. Why is it coming to the 11th hour?
We're in a really strong position to get a deal. Those discussions are still underway. I think we're in the strongest position of any country to try and secure that. But of course, the US have, as part of that negotiation, as part of that discussion, will be seeking to do what's right by the people in America. And the US President Donald Trump will, of course, be seeking to do what he believes is right by his nation, as we are doing, and getting the best possible deal for the British people.
Can you rule out tit-for-tat tariffs?
all options do remain on the table, but what we want is to secure a deal, and those negotiations are still ongoing, and those negotiations will continue if necessary beyond today. They'll carry on. That's what matters.
Secretary of State, I'm fascinated by the job you do and the idea of getting children school ready. Now, I went to school when I was 4. And when I was 4, when I was 5, whatever, I don't remember anybody ever saying to me, "Are you school ready?" You just were. You went and you did it and whatever. Yet you've got this plan for change. And in it is a priority for you to have thousands more children school ready. So what I'm trying to get at is, how bad is that situation? How many parents just don't bother preparing their children for school?
I think after the pandemic in particular, what I've heard a lot from school leaders across the country is that they've seen more and more children arriving at school, sometimes wearing nappies or in pushchairs, not toilet trained, not able to do things like put on their own shoes or get their coat on. Those are the kinds of practical things that I do want to support parents to be doing ahead of their children starting school. But it's why we are also supporting schools to work with parents to make that happen. We know that if children are school ready, reach a good level of development, then they're more likely to go on to do well later on in their lives. And that's why anything that we can do to support our under 5s isn't just good for that individual, good for that family. It's actually good for us all as a country.
Yeah. Well, Secretary of State, good luck with you, the work that you're trying to do, and thank you for taking the time and speaking to us today from a sunny Westminster Green there. Very nice to see. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Claire, I was just talking to the Secretary of State there about having children school ready. I mean, you're a parent of what, 3?
4.
4. I mean, you must have got them school ready.
Of course I did.
I can't look, when you go back to the early 60s when I would have been at school, and you think, it wasn't, you just did it. It was part of your role as a parent.
Yes.
Why are we letting these parents off with not toilet training their children, not feeding them in the morning?
Yeah, well, we shouldn't be. And whilst I applaud the wraparound care and the instance in the under 5s, which is crucial, it is crucial for society going forward and indeed the child's development, but it has to be tacked at parental level as well. It really has to be. There's a dereliction of duty, too much in this country, of parents not doing their job. They're actually being infantilised now by people like this government that we have, telling them, yes, we will roll out a toothbrushing campaign. We will give free meals for children. It's not good enough. It completely and utterly negates the role of the parent and parental responsibility to do all these things for the parent. And whilst I get that children are very crucial and they need to be helped, it's the parents who should be doing the job, not the schools. And I'll tell you something else. You really hit the nail on the head, Eamonn, when you mentioned about the rack concrete in the structure of schools at the moment. 6,000 extra children up and down the country, 300 extra nurseries. I don't know about you, but the schools in my area aren't fit for purpose in terms of expansion because they can't expand. Where is the money coming from? Do they have the staffing levels to do it? And is it really going to help people back to work in terms of parents for childcare? Because they're only in half a day a week.
Well, Claire, thank you very much indeed for highlighting all of that. And Andy, thank you for your company today. Thank you to both of you. And we've come to the end of this hour, and the time is exactly 9 o'clock.
Now to today's top stories. The Prime Minister makes an 11th hour bid for a trade deal with the United States.
Keir Starmer is preparing a package of economic concessions in an attempt to spare Britain from President Trump's tariffs.
But the White House is standing firm with its Liberation Day.
It's simple. If you make your product in America, you will pay no tariffs.
With fears over 25,000 jobs in Britain's motoring industry, can anything be done for Britain?
Northern Ireland holds its breath, awaiting those tariffs. Will they face the same as the UK, or will they face EU tariffs?
A rejected peace plan for Ukraine. Russia says it will not accept Donald Trump's proposals whilst President Zelensky is in power.
The American actor Val Kilmer, famous for roles in Top Gun, Batman, and his portrayal of the musician Jim Morrison, has died at the age of 65.
A new film on the Beatles. The cast is confirmed as stars assemble on stage for the first time ahead of the director Sam Mendes' 4-film project.
It's another sunny start for most of us, but how long will the sunshine last? I'll have the full forecast coming up very soon.
Hello there to you on this Wednesday morning. We're online, we're on TV, we're on radio. Whatever way you think of it, we can do it. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well, Liberation Day is what the Americans are calling it. This is ahead of the tariffs that Donald Trump is going to impose, and we'll hear more about those tonight.
Yes, today's announcements are expected to focus on country-based import taxes, with many now fretting about an intensified global trade disruption.
So whatever they charge us, we charge them, but we're being nicer than they were. We have a lot of countries, friend and foe. I always say friend and foe, but the friend in many cases is worse than the foe. They took advantage of us, and we are going to be very nice by comparison to what they were. The numbers will be lower than what they've been charging us, and in some cases maybe substantially lower, but we sort of have a world obligation perhaps. But we're going to be very nice.
He sounds very nice, doesn't he? Not, I think. There's the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. He's working on an 11th-hour package of concessions to spare Britain from involvement or heavy, seriously negative involvement in this trade war.
Well, we're joined now by GB News Northern Ireland reporter Doogie Beattie, who's in Belfast for us this morning. And Doogie, it's a very complicated picture in Belfast, isn't it?
Well, it is, Ellie, and unfortunately a botched Brexit deal left Northern Ireland inside the EU, but still part of the UK. And because of that, we have had a border in the Irish Sea to this part of the UK, so goods coming from Great Britain are actually having to come through customs into Northern Ireland. And a lot of those are manufacturing raw materials. And most companies now have decided to actually bring those goods through Dublin, where there isn't the same paperwork, and that has put real stress on Northern Ireland's economy. But what the manufacturers are very afraid of here is, because of that first cost of getting their raw materials in, they are now looking, if tariffs come in to the EU that are substantially more than the UK's trade deal, Northern Ireland will then have to have a border right down Ireland, right down the Irish Sea, because the US will go out of their way to make sure that European products aren't coming through the back door of Ireland into the UK and then moving on forward into the US. It's exactly the same thing that Europe did on Britain, America will do on the EU. That means that companies in Northern Ireland will face the highest tariffs of all. And if they hadn't have put that border in the Irish Sea and put it on the land where it should have been, you could have actually seen Northern Ireland becoming a sort of a Hong Kong state for goods coming from America, because they deal in sterling here, we are in sterling, and sterling is so much higher than the dollar. He's purposely done that. He's purposely driven the dollar down, so as tariffs won't matter as much. So it's easier if you have a weak dollar, it's easier to buy goods from America. It's cheaper. So those tariffs will cancel themselves out, and it means more Americans will buy American goods. But they could have brought them into Northern Ireland, and then you would have had an export business on the border, and the Republic of Ireland would have become the main thoroughfare into the EU, and that would have softened what is going to happen to the Republic of Ireland, because they take about $70 billion out of the US every year and only actually pay the trade with the America $22 billion. There's 700 American companies registered on the island of Ireland, and of course we have some of the biggest carpet factories in the world here. We have 1/3 of the aircraft seats are made here, and quarry crushing equipment, 70% of it's made in Northern Ireland. And of course we've already had to pay tariffs on British steel coming in of 25%, and that plays into the Scunthorpe stuff because we have to take European steel. So tonight the manufacturing industry our sector in Northern Ireland is under real pressure, wondering what's coming down the line.
Thanks, Dougie. It's fascinating listening to Dougie talk there about the carpet factories and things. I knew all of those. And
Well, you know them well.
Well, my father was a carpet carpet fitter, and two of my brothers are as well. And we had a van when we were growing up. We had his carpet van had this sort of sultan on the side of it, and he was sitting on a magic carpet. So the van was called the magic carpet.
Oh, that's nice.
That's what he did.
And you used to ride along on the back, in the back?
Yeah, there were no
on the
seatbelts in those days. Just being the carpets and the rolls of felt and rolling about in the back, and that was it. We went on our holidays in those.
Did you?
Yeah, we just everybody in the back of the
on the carpets
in the van, sitting on the carpets, the seats
with your suitcase.
Yeah, with your suitcases there as well. Mum and Dad in the front, and that was the way it went. How are you having your holidays this year? Let us know. We'll like to share that with people. So we'd love to hear what you think. This is poll of the day. Remember, we were asking, will President Trump's tariffs mean every month is an awful month this year and not just April, OK? Here's the way it's going.
Yes, 66% of you think it will. 34% of you think it will not. Well, you've still got time to get involved. If you want to, you can scan the QR code on your screen now, or just head to gbnews.com/poll.
OK, so pretty depressing times, and 2/3 of you think that's going to stay that way for the rest of the year. Incidentally, you can watch President Trump's full trade tariff address. Tonight, it's going to be from 9 o'clock. It'll be on Patrick Christie's programme. Full coverage throughout the day here on GB News, building up to that, and then the actual announcements, what President Trump has to say from 9 tonight, live on GB News.
Yeah, and we can expect theatre from Trump, and then the very best analysis off the back with Patrick Christie's and his panel, so don't miss that.
OK, so what way are the Ukraine peace talks going?
Yeah.
Over the weekend, the president changed his tune over things, saying he was irritated by the Russian leader Vladimir Putin.
Well, this sparked immediate interest for Western analysts as a stark difference to his 2015 remarks when he said that Putin was a strong leader.
Well, combined with growing resentment towards the Russian leader at home, is this simply just wishful thinking for the West, or a sign of a genuine turn on Putin?
Well, it's a good question for former British Army Colonel Hamish de Bretton-Gordon, who joins us now. Morning to you, Hamish. It was a sharp change of tone from President Trump. Should we take it seriously that this is a shifting stance on Putin?
Good morning. Yes, I think it is a really interesting time. I think Putin is, we know he's very paranoid. There are murmurings within Moscow and the Kremlin that some of his close supporters are getting quite angst by him. But Trump has, for the last 6 weeks, he has been praising Putin, and Trump's closest allies seem to be siding with the Russians. So this is a very big change. Whether Trump is cleverer than we think and has really sort of set Putin up for this, but I think it comes at a time. And let's not forget, Putin is well short of achieving the aims that he put for himself and his country. He's responsible for nearly 1 million casualties. He is a long way from taking the whole of Ukraine, as he said he would do. And he's very clearly not interested in a ceasefire one bit. But Trump is the one person who can probably make it happen. And you were talking about the tariffs coming out of the US that we're going to learn later today. But Trump has also threatened to put tariffs, huge tariffs, on Russian oil. And if that happens and Russian oil dries up, then Putin runs out of money very, very quickly. And the final bit on this, I think you're reporting this morning that that Putin has said, well, there will be no ceasefire or peace deal if Zelensky is still the president. And over the last couple of days, it has been suggested, Zelensky himself said he's happy to give up if a ceasefire would accrue, and we're hearing today that there may be plans for elections in the summer. So I think Trump and all these measures are backing Putin into a corner. So there is room for optimism, I think.
What amazes me, Hamish, is, when you talk there and you analyse what's going on, is the fact that we, the West, are still buying Russian oil. You would have thought that's the first strangulation that you would have put round their neck.
Well, Eamonn, you're absolutely right. You know, it's not an area that I study or great expertise on, but you know, certainly that seems to be the case, that it's filtering through in some guise at all. But I think the next bit on this about Europe, you know, if Trump meant to get Europe galvanized to build up its military so that America would have to do less in Europe, well, that is happening, and I think that's a really positive step. We've even got the Germans now who have been pretty ambivalent to their defence for a lot of good reasons for the last 30 years, investing 200 billion euros in their defence. So now when Putin looks west, he sees a really powerful conventional deterrence building in Europe, which he hasn't seen for the last 20 or 30 years. And that's hacked Trump off, and one understands that. So I think the tide is shifting and swinging. Let's hope it gains some momentum, because I think every right-minded person on the planet wants peace in Europe and stopping all the killing in Ukraine.
Well, absolutely. But do you think there's any prospect of peace when you've got Putin, whose war aim is essentially he doesn't want to see Ukraine as an independent, sovereign country? And that war aim, from his perspective, hasn't been met.
No, you're absolutely right. That when you look from the Kremlin and from Putin's perspective, he absolutely has no interest in a ceasefire or peace. And each ceasefire we've had, then the massive caveats come out of the Kremlin make them absolutely impossible. He said, yeah, I'll have a 30-day ceasefire, I'll have a ceasefire in the Black Sea, but only if I take all of Ukraine and a whole host of other demands. Yeah, Putin can't afford peace. He doesn't want peace. The only way to stop it is really Trump following through with his threats to Russia, but also Europe building up a suitably powerful conventional deterrence so that Putin can't go any further and, in fact, goes back whence he came in 2014.
Colonel Deborah Gordon, we've got to leave it there, but thank you very much indeed for your analysis. Much appreciated. I'm watching a programme on Channel 4 at the moment on the catch-up situation, and it's called Putin's Kill List, I think it's called.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's frightening. It's frightening, and it's the things how people, you know, go back to treating Putin as if he's a normal individual and whatever, and he's not. Just very, very scary what lengths the Russians will go to silence their opponents, the way it is.
Well, it's one to watch.
It is one to watch. Talking about one to watch, there is a new Fab Four in town as the cast has been announced for the latest Beatle films. There will be 4 of them. We're going to be talking to Liverpool local DJ Pete Price in just a moment.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and he did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Oh, the Great British Giveaway, and what a giveaway it is. And if you were in with a chance to win it, if you entered it and you did win it, your life would change. Here it is.
There's just 2 days left to become our spring winner, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag, and not one, but 2 sought-after designer watches, so you can style it out this spring. Hurry, lines close on Friday. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, we're going to finish today talking about a film, a new film, actually a series of films, 4 of them in total, about the Fab Four, the Beatles.
Yes, new film's been announced, directed by Sam Mendes. Paul Mescal, Barry Keoghan, Joseph Quinn and Harris Dickinson are all cast in the film. It's very exciting.
OK. Well, we're now going to speak to Pete Price. This is writing so small on my page, I can't read any of it. It's Pete Price, yeah. Pete is a radio DJ from Liverpool. Pete, very good seeing you, my friend. So what do you make of this? I mean, do you think these films are long overdue? Do you think there's still an interest in the Beatles, or what?
Well, first of all, good morning, and thank you for letting me appear with 2 legends. I am just thrilled. Yes, there is, because the Beatles reinvent themselves over and over again. Yeah. It's amazing over the years. I mean, when you 2 were children, I was standing outside the cavern, queuing, paying 1 6 in old money to see the Beatles down the stairs, completely no health and safety in there, tapping the mic. That was it. They were on, and it was raw. It was raw, exciting music. It was fun. And yes, there has always been an interest, and I mean, they are legendary. We also, by the way, used to queue outside, and when Love Me Do started getting into the charts, we picketed. We didn't want people to buy the record because we didn't want to lose the Beatles. Yes. We were so protective about them.
But you see, Pete, it doesn't really matter what you and I think about it. We're of a certain age. We remember, and I remember queuing for A Hard Day's Night at the cinema. It's people like Ellie here. Ellie, I want to know, do the Beatles mean anything to you?
I love the Beatles.
Do you?
Yeah, I love the Beatles.
Well, you see, I think I don't love the Beatles, and then
But then you do, because you hear their song on the radio.
Yeah, I listen to their music, and I think there's no bad ones.
Or you go down Abbey Road, I mean, they are the best of British, aren't they, Pete? Are you disappointed, though, that they couldn't find one Liverpudlian actor to be cast in this film?
Very disappointed that they haven't found all 4 actors. Yeah. I recently went to see a thing called The Two of Us, and it was Barry Sloane, a star in his own right, Jay Johnson, a star in his own right. Jay was playing Paul McCartney, Barry was playing John Lennon, and it was spectacular because there's that thing in Liverpool. Everyone grows up with the Beatles, and we have a wealth of talent here. We have a wealth of musicians still and music. So, yeah, tremendous casting, but hey,
say, come to Liverpool, come and see the raw talent here waiting to be brought out. I think it's very exciting times, and I will go after here. I'll go for a walk down Matthew Street just to remember, because you brought it all back to me. I've got goose pimples.
Well, it's Derby night tonight, so it is. Are you red or blue?
Oh, red. Red.
Well, congratulations on the title. It's yours, I would say.
Fingers crossed. Can't say it yet.
Pete, it's quite interesting looking online at the reaction to this cast. Paul Mescal, lots of people saying he's now too buff after being in Gladiators, far too buff to play Paul McCartney. And Harris Dickinson apparently is 6'2", so much taller than John Lennon, who I think was about 5'10". Would you take issue with that, or do you welcome this casting?
No, I don't welcome the casting at all. Joking apart, I really do believe. I mean, Barry Sloane's about 6'2", I think, who played John Lennon in this play. So there's a lot. Honestly, there is a wealth of talent here, and because we've got the rawness of Liverpool, we'll know it. They'll go it. They'll live it. They'll be there, and it's the feel of the place. Be interested to see how much filming they're going to do in Liverpool.
Okay. Well, we look forward to it. 4, not 1, but 4 films. So, Pete, really, thank you very much indeed for filling us in there and putting us all in the mood for that. Thank you.
Thanks, Pete. Apparently,
thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Each of the 4 films is going to be based on a star of the Beatles. So John Lennon will have his own film. Ringo Starr will have his own film.
Gotcha.
There you go.
Okay.
All of that to look forward to.
Having their own programme, Andrew Pearce and Nana Akua from 9:30 today. Well, guys?
Well, I was going to say, as long as I don't make John Lennon black, just for this, in this woke world that we live in.
You wouldn't get it past him. World.
You looking forward to that? Would you go see it?
I would.
Yeah, looks good.
I've been to the Cavern too. I went there when I'd spent a day when Nadine Dorris was Culture Secretary, because she was from Liverpool Council Estate.
Oh, she was,
the Cavern. Great place, really interesting. I think the Beatles are part of our heritage, aren't they?
Yeah. They're a great band, aren't they? Great band. Well, look, we've got the lead officer for Unite Union speaking to us this afternoon, this morning even, because of the Birmingham bin strike. So we're looking
is a scandal.
It is really, isn't it?
I don't know what way you mean that scandal, but I say the scandal is that those poor people are having to strike. That's what I'd say the scandal is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Unite will they can give their chance about why they are on strike. I mean, there's a lot of some of these bin works apparently will lose up to £8,000.
Yeah,
it's a huge chunk of someone's.
It really is.
It's a huge chunk, especially if you're earning £24,000.
Yeah. And this is a Labour council, for God's sake. Get it sorted. I'm amazed the Prime Minister hasn't knocked heads together, frankly, because this is embarrassing. It's an international embarrassment.
And when should central government get involved? I mean, how long do these bins have to pile up for?
Some people haven't had their bins emptied for 7 weeks.
Well, it's a public health issue as well.
It really is.
A lot of getting warmer this week.
Well, because people can get quite sick. If people start using the NHS because they're getting diseases and illnesses.
If there were local elections in Birmingham this May, that would have been sorted weeks ago.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's how it would be. Well, guys, have yourselves a good programme. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.
Look forward to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, listen, we've got still loads more on the programme as well. We will be talking about this reform that the Labour Party have put in place to try and reduce the welfare bill.
Yeah.
But it turns out that it may well...
Going to put even more people on benefits. You couldn't make it up, could you?
No. All right, well, stay with us. Loads here to come on Britain's Newsroom in a couple of moments' time. But first, let's get an update with your weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's another cloud-free day out there for the vast majority, feeling warm in the sunshine, feeling cool in the brisk breeze, and especially near coasts. The east coast and the south coast affected by a brisk easterly wind. But out of the wind, plenty of sunny skies and feeling warm in that sunshine after any patchy low cloud has disappeared. We're starting the day with some of that across parts of northern England, eastern Scotland. Temperatures by the afternoon up to 17, 18, even 19 or 20 Celsius in some of the sheltered spots towards the northwest, feeling much cooler along the east and south coast, however. Then going into the evening, we keep the cloud-free skies predominantly across Scotland. Some patchy low cloud lurking in the North Sea, could come along later for eastern Scotland. But for much of the evening, actually, it's simply clear. It's dry. Light winds for Scotland and Northern Ireland. The wind picks up a bit as you come further south into England and Wales. Hint there of some patchy low cloud just sneaking into the east coast as temperatures fall through the evening. And it's likely we will see a bit more low cloud arriving overnight into eastern districts of the UK. It will be patchy, it will be coming and going through the night, I suspect. Another area of cloud will emerge to the south and southwest, and that's going to bring up some showers towards the end of the night, I suspect, across parts of Cornwall and Devon. Largely frost-free overnight, but where the winds drop out, where we get lengthy clear spells, there will be a touch of frost here and there as we begin Thursday. Otherwise, Thursday, for most, it's a sunny start, but two exceptions. Some of these eastern parts of the UK will see patchy low cloud at first. That will tend to disappear into the afternoon, but we've got thicker cloud towards the southwest and showery rain, so a marked contrast, I